for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. From the capital city of the United States of America, Washington, D.C., ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
You know who Hedy Lamar is?
Hey, Lamar?
Hedy, H-E-D-Y. She invented Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Austrian actress. I don't know why I wanted to open with that, but I just felt like it was important for motherfuckers to know.
Fun facts. I like
You know, fun facts.
I like
A Hollywood bombshell invented Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So, just some, food for thought. Thought for fruit. Shit like that.
Who knew? Wi-Fi, I thought it was.
Well, I knew. So I wanted y'all motherfuckers to know. So yeah. So that's all I got for that. That's the end of the episode. We're done.
That's all I gotta say about that. I love the part of making sure I'm on. The part of the hangover when Alan gives the speech and he's just like, here's some fun facts. He did that shit like a report card, like a report. He had notes.
I actually almost watched that last night. Well, not watch, but like I put something on to go to bed. Almost put the hangover on. But the problem is I would sit up. I would actually want to watch it. So I decided against it. I was just like, no, I'm good. So instead I put on Chappelle's show. And then I ended up fucking almost kind of watching that just because it's so goddamn funny. I was like, you know what? All right. I put my sleep mask on with the Bluetooth in and just put on music to go to sleep. So yeah, that's how my week has been going. It's only Monday.
I did your. It's funny. I guess you started a new job, but I did your reference today.
Yeah, that's
they
wild.
didn't connect with me. They called, and I called right back the same day. Didn't answer. I left a voicemail. I didn't know what the name was because I couldn't understand clear enough, and it wasn't. It was one of those names that like very rare. So we did it today, but apparently you're already there. And then even how it wrapped up was like, well, we look forward to Ladante working, and I was like, well, this was a waste of time.
Well, it's funny because when you text me the other day, I was confused as fuck because I didn't understand what was going on. And then I put two and two together. I was like, oh shit, wait a minute. This is references for work? Oh shit. Like, I start on Monday. like everything's been like approved.
I did the first call. So I'm one, I rarely answer my phone if it's not something I'm expecting. Because if it's important, you'll leave a message.
Yeah.
I happened to answer this one. And they said what company they're for, and I didn't recognize it, so I just hung up. And then they called right back and left a message like, oh.
Well, and that was the thing when they were asking for references. They're like, so one of the jobs I applied for, they asked for 2 references. But they're like employment references, like in the last 5 years. And I was like, well, I've been at this one job for 6 years. So, like, I can give you reference. I got managers here. So give me 2 managers there. So I did. And then, they fucking wine and dine me, had me thinking I had that job. And it was like, psych. Guess what, bitch? We came in just to get you pumped up. So then when I went to this one, they're like, yeah, we probably won't even call you references. But just in case, we asked for, 2 to 3 references. So I used the 2 that I used before, and then I added you. I was like, okay, let's see here. Employment, okay. I've worked with him, so I can count him. And it was like, all right, cool. Didn't hear anything until just the other day when you told me. I was like, oh, they way behind. Because, like, what if you were like, yeah, he's a fucking worse employee. Meanwhile, I'm in the middle of fucking training. So, thank you. I appreciate you doing that.
When faced with a challenge, this is something along the words of, like, faced with adversity,
Yeah.
will he react physical?
Like, well, it depends.
Well, he likes jiu-jitsu a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Probably. Like, probably.
No, they're well aware. Well, that's the thing, though, too. It's like, because I was worried when they're like, oh, we're going to, do a background check. I was like, uh-oh. I was like, well, and the funny thing is they call me back on the 31st. And they're like, yeah, you can go ahead. If you can start on the 17th, that'd be great. And I was like, well, wait a minute. Let's wait until everything comes back before you just anoint me, next in line. Plus, it would be weird as shit to send out that resignation email on April Fool's. Like, come on, dude.
Well, if you need to go back, you always have that. It was just April Fool's.
Like, I was just bullshitting y'all. So, but yeah, no, thank you again. I appreciate you doing that for me, and yeah, appreciate it. So, this week, I guess, so I've written on the board the last 2 weeks, NFL draft and NBA playoffs. This is the third week in a row. And I think the last 2 weeks we did not talk about either of those things. So with the NFL draft having happened this past Thursday, I figured let's get into that. I don't want to go into heavy details, but some key things.
We need hours, and also
Yeah.
it's like you need to do all types of research. We don't have a research department.
No. Like, we're the research department, and let me tell you, if I'm part of that department, we're not doing well.
So
I read articles, I read the article title and say, good enough for me.
well, there's so many dang picks in the draft. There's so many schools, they don't even come on TV around here. So I always find it funny when you hear what do you call it, couch quarterbacks, or like, oh, what a bad pick. And just like, I guarantee have never heard of that guy till just now.
Well, and that's the thing too. The armchair quarterbacks who are like running their mouths. It's like these days I don't watch as much college ball, but I watch enough. Like in the past, that's all I did was watch college football. So when we had those random quarterbacks that get drafted from like fucking Wyoming or something, it's like, oh my god, like, I'm surprised that guy went that low type shit. But like now you see guys just talking shit just to talk shit. Although my buddy Bean, he messaged me during the draft when Anthony Richardson went to the Colts. And then it all of a sudden became that game of watch the quarterback, because everybody expected the Kentucky quarterback to go in that spot.
What's it, Levitz?
Yeah. And he kept dropping. And he texted me, he was like, what's the hype on this guy anyway? I mean, he's a quarterback from Kentucky. He's not even the best quarterback in Kentucky's history. And I told him, I was like, I can tell you one big thing that's making this a big deal, but I don't want to say it. And I mean, the fact is, all the quarterbacks that were getting drafted were not white. And then this quarterback seems like he would have been a good fit in Indy, perhaps. I don't know. But he didn't get drafted.
Like Indy was rumored to get who they got all along because of their running game, and but also, I mean, their last few years was ridiculous. What they do, Phillip Rivers for a year. They're like, we're a quarterback away. We need Phillip Rivers. He'll get us there. That didn't work. Then they went Carson Wentz. That they were about to be in the playoffs, and he choked. And then they went Matt Ryan. What the hell were they? So yeah, let's. We just had 3 unathletic white old guys. Let's go young athletic.
Like, let's go get a young unathletic kid from Kentucky now. It was like, okay,
no, they're not going him. So
it was like,
they
fuck
did
that.
the complete opposite of what they're doing, and but I mean, you got Jonathan Taylor. They lack receivers really, but
yeah,
fucking run that shit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got Jonathan Taylor. I mean, even when he wasn't in there, run game was not terrible.
If Lamar was going to go to a different team, I was hoping he'd go to Atlanta just because they were the best running team. And I was like, that would be sick.
Yeah, in Atlanta.
Then they drafted the highest running back, which wasn't a need because Cordell Patterson was a beast. But he is a receiver playing running back. But and I think they had 2 young running backs that they drafted high already. One of them at least.
Yeah, I was going to say at least one was kind of a decently high pick.
This guy was supposedly a stud, so I don't hate them picking that.
No, I think the last time we heard like a running back stud going in a draft and going high was Saquon Barkley, and he is good. He has some injury issues early on, but when he's healthy, he's a monster. So, maybe this kid is the second coming of. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just that you can get an average running back, and if you have the right system, you could pay him low money. He's gonna high production for the money. And you
Yeah.
see Saquon now sitting out because he wants that top dollar. But do you want to commit money to your running back? Because he is beast. Damn,
My
you
bad.
complain about my pours, but then this man poured rum like it was the glass of beer.
I, my bad, yo.
I'm
Chill.
gonna go off the rails. Dante's gonna
See, and I'm sitting here talking about, I can't be recording too late. I gotta get to
go.
work
It's
early.
early.
Meanwhile, I'm pouring like a fucking
So yeah, let me
full
know what you think of this. This is a pretty good
glass
rum.
of rum. Um, but yeah, looking at just the way the draft went was just kind of it wasn't shocking, but they try to hype you up under all this like suspense, like who's gonna go number one?
Yeah, I guess Levitz was predicted at number 2 for a little bit.
I don't recall that at all. I recall him being projected at least maybe at the highest the third quarterback
What
going.
stole the draft was his damn who he was sitting with, because I guess it was probably his sisters initially.
I didn't see.
Oh, what?
I didn't see. Sadly, okay.
All right, so
Hold-
there
right.
was various people around him. One, I think they initially thought was who was his girlfriend was probably his sister. When the girlfriend came, that stole the draft show.
Okay. So as soon as I Google NFL draft
that
Levis,
was the number one thing everyone noticed in the draft, because one, she got tons of camera time because he was projected to go and he never went in the first round, so they kept showing them waiting, and he was filmed ahead of time of saying that he wouldn't want to go if he's not going to be drafted in the first round.
oh, okay. I've seen some memes the last 24 hours of her. So
Yeah, I think she became a star overnight from the
so
draft.
apparently she's an Instagram model, so she's definitely up there now.
Oh yeah, her follows.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
probably
she's about to get another one right now.
Time.
Actually, I'm sorry. How many accounts I got? Like 8. She's about to get 8 new follows.
So yeah, I know nothing about her, but
You don't need
she
to.
stood out.
You know that. Well, that's one thing I always love about the draft is when you're looking at the draft and you're seeing all these like future NFL stars, predominantly black, and there's always the white chick on their arm, and always their mom on the other arm. I remember there was that one year the girlfriend kept trying to get all up in the video. After the son got drafted and the mom pushed her out the way. She was like, "Bitch, get the fuck out of here."
Someone else, like one, I think it was he got caught kind of like looking like he was texting someone else, because then she looked over his phone and he was like,
Yeah, I mean, he's stuck like, "Damn, babe, I wish I was with you. I'm about to get drafted, but this
and then her
bitch sitting
face
here
was
next to
mad,
me."
like,
All right, hold on. Her Instagram. Let me go find her right now. I'm about to go follow this hell. I mean, this young lady. Oh, nothing's coming up for her Instagram. That's weird. But they claim she's an Instagram model.
she might have
so-
broke Instagram. I mean, I'm telling
Possibly.
you, that was like the big talk of after the draft. Like, who is this person?
Funny enough, like I think once Detroit traded their pick, I went and started doing other shit. And I was like, I don't got time for this. So when you text me, you're like running back,
Well,
and I
they
didn't
did
even
a
need
lot
to.
of interesting things.
I didn't need to look to know what you meant. I was like, motherfuckers, yo. Don't tell me these motherfuckers took a running back. And then Neps text me, then Bing text me, and then I was like, fuck. I look.
Yeah, it was early. So you guys had a million picks. So I feel like in a way, most of your picks were kind of like reaches in a way in terms of the grand, the so-called experts rankings. But you had a million picks, so I mean, you traded some of them for next year's picks. I like that because you have too many this year.
Well,
Swift stays hurt. You lost Williams.
Yeah.
You picked up the dude from
Montgomery.
Montgomery.
Yeah.
He was injured last year as well.
Surprise, surprise.
But your offense was a stud offense. But yeah, you were still a stud offense. I was like, dang, I thought you'd replace Hawkinson early, but the offense was fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah,
You got a linebacker, safety.
they did get a tight end. They got a good all around tight end. I think the first tight end off the board, which I think the dude that they picked, I think a lot of the experts had him as second or third, but still. And that's the thing too. When you're drafting and you're reaching for players, it's only a reach if like you don't have an opportunity. Like if you have, I think the running back was a reach for sure. But it's like okay, like I think about it in fantasy football when you're picking seventh and the person you want, won't be there on the wraparound.
That was rumored of Washington. Of the corner we got was we were trying to trade back, but no one would trade back with us.
Yeah.
So that's who we wanted. We knew he probably was ranked lower than where we got him, but if no one's willing to do it, and that's who we want,
If
if
that's who you want, then you fucking take them. I just think, and the thing is with Detroit's picks, besides the running back, I don't think it was hateful. Well, no, I don't think the rest of the draft was hateful. I think the running back where they took him was hateful because it's like you got enough picks where you can get that running back in a second. So why are we taking him at number 12? But it's whatever. I mean, there are lots of like players they could have grabbed, to really really tighten up that defense. But I mean, they ended up getting a really good linebacker, so we'll take that. Corner, they got a couple corners later and a safety, and it's like, I mean, could have gotten better, but whatever,
Well, you also never know.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You never know.
Half the first round is going to be bust.
But the history of being a Detroit Lions fan is we don't do well in the draft.
Well, we like to pick. Washington likes to pick. Our first round pick tends to be solid, but not great. Except, Chase Young's looking like a bust right now, and he's rumored to be on the trade block, and they didn't pick up his contract, so he's in a prove it year. Maybe that motivates him.
Stay healthy, homie.
But I think if I was Washington, if you're not going to give him the contract now, the extension, I would probably trade him while he's still probably hyped up to be worth something.
Yeah.
Because they can't. They already paid I think we have number 2 and number 3 in the highest paid defensive tackles. So, it's smart to invest your money in defensive tackles.
Yeah, correct. So I think what they could end up doing
contracts coming up.
Is playing a dangerous game with him, because if he's healthy, he starts off healthy, and he does well the first 2-3 games. It's like, oh, now we can dangle him out there before the deadline hits because he's looking good, but that could come back and bite him in the ass. But with his injury history, it's probably still a good gamble, and he's a good young player. Or he could play early, get hurt early, and now that fucking blows up in your face.
Yeah, now if he kills it, we can franchise him.
Yeah, true.
For a year. True. But Mark Sweat's contract is up too, the other defensive end. He's solid. He's the fastest defensive end, I believe, in the league. Not the most dominant, but at this point, I would rather have him than Chase Young. But there's no way you're gonna pay both of them, and eventually we just have the most ridiculous, highest paid offensive line. That should be like the Chicago Bears in their heyday, and they're not.
Well, I don't know. Next year is going to be interesting to see. I think they said they're looking to have the schedule out. I think by June. Well, they said June 11th or May 11th. I hope they meant May 11th.
I don't see why they can't May 11th.
Yeah, because they have the teams who are playing who. It's just a matter of when they're playing. Because number one, I want to know when Detroit's playing Baltimore, so that way I can schedule my life around that. And then also, I think that's really, I don't really give a fuck about anything else. I just want to know that game. Speaking of fucking, Baltimore, so Lamar signed. And then also, guess what they did? What they always do and can never produce one is they drafted a receiver in the first round. So we already know that kid's career is doomed. He actually looks promising.
He's probably going to get hurt.
But
he's compared to Tyreek Hill because he's small, but his speed's nowhere near Tyreek Hill.
It's funny. I hope he does well.
I saw something about some kid receiver, one of the receivers, his combine time running the 40 was 4.3, but when they actually looked at when he crossed the line, it was a 4.03. And they're like, that was fucked up because if it was a 4.03, he probably would have been a top 10 draft pick.
Easily. I don't know. I hope Zay Jones the receiver that they draw. I think it's Jones.
Flowers.
Flowers.
Zay Jones is
Where
on
am I-
Jacksonville.
Okay, I was like,
So
where am
it's
I getting Jones from?
Another Zay.
Okay, Zay Flowers. I hope he does well. I don't know. I'm always
I can see him doing it.
I'm
He's gonna
always,
be the little
like,
slot guy.
pulling for like young first round receivers to do well. I don't know why, but I always want those kids to do well.
He's probably going to be drafted by Colompton in fantasy because that's all I draft is rookie receivers.
I mean, I think he's a good pickup for sure. But yeah, Lamar, he ended up signing.
He's got Odell. I don't know if you saw in the news our old famous jackass of the week.
Yeah,
Antonio Brown
it's up
just
there.
decided he's on the Ravens. That shit was funny because they didn't reach out to him. He's just like he just assumed if I want to play in the Ravens, they want me.
Yeah.
This dude's brain is scrambled.
And then the
He's
thing
just
is,
like,
it
I want to
shouldn't,
play for the Ravens, so they want me.
it shouldn't be funny because CTE is a real thing. But this dude, the way that he does things, though, is what makes it funny.
Yo,
Because
people thought he was signed because he was posting pictures of him in a Ravens jersey.
Yeah. Yeah.
like-
Did I save that? No.
They didn't reach out to you.
No, I put a note in my phone saying Antonio Brown thinks the Ravens signed him. Like, I don't know if he.
I think this dude is that arrogant that he thinks if he shows interest in a team, they'll sign him.
Man, he better go do what Josh Gordon doing in the XFL. Fucking.
Yeah, I mean the last.
Play.
I don't know that a team would be willing to take him on at this point.
I mean,
When
he's
you're
he's a liability.
when you're freaking trying to troll the GOAT of the NFL, posting pictures of you and the GOAT's wife just to fuck with him, I don't know that the team's gonna be like, you're who I want on our team.
But I mean, also, what's he trying to prove with that though?
Yeah, he's just a jackass.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so you got pictures with you and Giselle. So I got the internet. I can make those pictures for myself too. I mean, he's probably really into pictures.
That was
but
soon around the time he was jumping in the pool without his bathing suit on.
fucking lunatic. So yeah, the NFL draft. I mean, Bryce Young went number 1. CJ Stroud went number 2. And the Texans. So I didn't realize the Texans had traded up because like after they picked and then it kept saying they're still on the clock. I was like, yo, they need to fix their shit. Texans aren't on the clock. They just drafted. And I was like, oh shit, they're going 2 and 3. Okay, which is solid. They got themselves a quarterback and helping out on their own defense too. So good for them. I think they're going to still be. They're going to be a team on the rise.
They need some major work, yeah.
But they're not going to be anything of significance next
They
year.
lost the receiver Cooks,
Yeah,
and that was about all they had. Now the running back was pretty solid.
I don't even know who their running back was.
I think he ended up getting hurt towards the end of the year. He was solid. I think he was a rookie last year.
Yeah. I still don't know who he was, but and then Colts took Anthony Richardson, which again, good for them.
He's being called a project quarterback, but
As he is. Hold on. This just in. XFL playoffs. Washington. Oh, I'm sorry, DC. Looks like they won.
damn.
So that it's the playoffs. So
Oh, I would love the idea though of an XFL team gets to play the worst NFL team. That would be the best game. That would be the most watched game of all.
Oh yeah,
It would be better than the Super Bowl. Like you're out of the NFL if you lose that game, and that XFL team is now in the NFL.
So does this? Hold on. Let me make sure I'm looking
We
at
got
this.
to make that happen.
Was this? Nope.
And
No,
then that
hold
team
on.
that gets booted out of the
XFL
NFL
scores.
better run the shit out of the XFL.
I don't want the schedule. I need to know the scores from yesterday. I don't know. Maybe DC didn't win. I'm looking at the wrong thing. But let's check it out. ESPN never lets me down on XFL info since they have XFL games.
Can you
on.
imagine that though? That would be so awesome.
No, I like it. I'm
Because
in.
if the XFL team wins, so say last year they somehow upset the Texans. Now, if the Texans don't go undefeated in the XFL, that would be amazing. So imagine you're stuck in the XFL now. All the Texans players stuck in the XFL.
with the XFL salary.
Yeah, you gotta change your salaries.
Oh, that's hurtful.
Oh, that would be
Oh
awesome
shit!
too.
Hold
So
on, that game got close. Like the
that's how
Boston
freaking.
game.
That's why, it's the betting. You're like Joel Embiid's out. Boston's gonna win by probably 10 at least, and then everyone bets on Boston.
Oh, I'm sorry. The XFL. Let's see here. Championship game. Oh no, DC is in. The 9-1 DC Defenders will be playing the 4-6 Renegades, wherever they're from.
Defender's a lot better name than Commanders.
This is great. I mean, DC should be undefeated. They lost that bullshit game on the last second. Hey man, I'm a fan because Detroit ain't got a team, so I'm cheering for DC because all the other teams are wild. It's like, what are these? So,
Did you see who we drafted first round?
what did you get? You got a
Well, we went
corner?
cornerback.
Okay.
Cornerback was a need. Tight end was a big need. Offensive line's a huge need. The corner we got, tremendous ball skills. Like led the league in pick sixes several years. Great ball skills. Dude weighs 166.
Nice, love it.
That's just, and he's 6'1". So I found this meme. It's like they're doing like they always do the NFL comparison. For him, it was Manute Bol. That shit was funny.
Let's see.
But yeah, I mean he's skinny as hell. But I mean, watching his highlights, and I've never heard of him before. I'm not gonna fake. I've never heard of this.
Yeah. Well, no, I saw.
Apparently he gambles, so I like that though. In my defense, it's like the dude. Who's the dude from the Cowboys?
When you say gamble, I'm thinking about what's his name from the Lions. I was like, oh, that's not a good sign. We got to do it out for 6 games.
I think I mentioned this of like where you got to build a team. It's like if you get a strong offense, sort of like Detroit, your defense don't necessarily have to be good, but if you can create turnovers, you're gonna be beast.
Yeah.
So you get a few guys that can just create a turnover. That's what this guy is. And then they drafted another corner. He's probably going to be the slot corner because all of his skill set. Clearly, you can't be 166 and be the slot corner. So
I'm looking when I was looking at the draft and kind of like keeping up on it for my phone at this point. I was using CBS, and the internet kind of ruins things these days. Where it's like anyone can get a job, but not only can anyone get a job, but like anyone who gets a job thinks we want to know their opinion. Yes, we have a podcast and we think you guys want to know our opinion, but you're listening, so you're welcome. But this asshole, it's like every draft pick, he's like giving his little 2 cents and why he doesn't like the player. Like he'll say some dumb shit like, "Oh, this guy he fucking ties his shoes funny," some dumb bullshit. I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. It's like Panthers take Bryce Young. He is the best pure passer in this draft, but I'm worried about his size. Okay, everybody is, but the Panthers aren't, so they draft him. Shut the fuck up. Then he goes C.J. Stroud. They had to take the shot at the quarterback, so it's the smart thing to do. I would have taken Will Levis, but I get it. It's like, okay, well, but you're writing for CBS. You're not the GM for the Texans.
Well, no one wanted Levis, so
we all wanted his girl.
Apparently, all the NFL experts were in agreement.
Yeah,
that he's not a first-round pick.
I guess he was at the draft on the first night. Then I guess when he did get drafted, he was at home. He was like, man, fuck this. I'm not going back out there.
No, that was like one of the memes. So, I mean, obviously, the girlfriend stole the show. Yeah. Once she was on camera, I was like, what the hell? Who's this?
Like, fuck that guy. Draft her.
Because, again, the first time they show him, it's a different girl. So it was like, at first, I'm like, is this dude just like got mad girls?
Rotating girls in. Yeah, maybe this would be some.
The other one probably is his sister, I bet.
Which is fine. I mean, she's cute. So I'll take it. But
yeah, no one was bad looking. When this girl, and again, she could have a career as a model for sure.
What's funny is like people give a lot of shit to Kentucky, but every time I see like females from Kentucky, they're all cutie pies actually. So I don't know why we hate on. Well, because they got 60 Sundown Town, so that's part of why we hate on Kentucky. So that's one thing. But also, I mean, it's Kentucky. Who really name me 3 cities in Kentucky? I can barely name you one.
Bluegrass is
Like, I can barely give you one, and
Kentucky.
like, you
Yeah, I
know,
don't know Kentucky.
the fuck. Wait, no, I can give you two. I can give you two. I can give you two cities in Kentucky. Um, Lexington, because I think that's the capital, and Louisville. Is that Kentucky, right?
I don't know.
I hope it's Kentucky, because if it's not, damn, that's like fuck Kentucky, yo. But they girls is kind of cute. Yeah, there's some pretty girls. Um, but yeah, as I was like looking through, it was like this dude just had nothing nice to say about anyone. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Well, when Detroit drafted the linebacker, he like had something positive there, but it's like still shut the fuck up. The Eagles, I mean,
Apparently, the Eagles did really well.
the Philadelphia Bulldogs now, apparently, like they're taking all the Georgia players, which
oh yeah,
isn't a bad move.
yeah,
Yeah, top
yeah. I
defense
feel like
back-to-back
every
years.
time they picked, it was like, damn, this dude should have went way earlier.
Yeah.
And then now they have your boy.
Yeah, I think Philly. I mean,
So I don't think they got rid of any running backs. So they're stacked at running back. Who was the starter?
Give it some time.
Because he was getting hurt a lot.
I don't know.
It's because we're drinking.
I just.
How do you like this rum? I don't think you got into it, but
I took a sip. I'm not hating it.
It's,
I'm not in love with it, but
you drink all that, you're gonna be feeling it.
well, that's what I was telling you at the time. Like, hey,
Oh,
we got to record
so-
it this time so I can get this set up because I'm going right to bed.
When I got this rum, there was some kind of Polish liquor that was like 70% alcohol. I was tempted to get it.
That sounds painful, but fun.
Yeah, I was like, this is right up our alley.
Well, I mean, I don't know. So,
So what was it? Bacardi 151, that's 75?
151, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So this was up there. Maybe it was in the 60s, but it was up there.
Even still, 40s is the standard.
Because 151's like banned or something now, or something.
Is it?
Because
That's
they
trash.
don't make, if they do make it, it's not like the original.
It's dumb.
But
It's
yeah, I
like
think they banned
it's like Coca-Cola. They took the cocaine out. Nobody wants that shit now.
What's the absinthe, which apparently the one in England
Yeah.
might have contained some hallucinants.
Yeah, I mean,
why it was nicknamed the Green Fairy.
the shit over here, I think, was like not the shit that was over
No,
there.
not at all.
Like it's illegal over here, so they're like, nah. But we'll make a drink and call it that. Some motherfuckers were
I've
drinking
had the
like with
American
the
absinthe.
sugar and
Yeah,
everything.
you're supposed to. The real way you're supposed to drink is pour water over sugar, or pour the liquor maybe over the sugar.
Yeah.
And then in movies, though, they always show it lit on fire because it's the green.
Yeah.
That's not the real way to drink absinthe. But absinthe, I can tell you, is harsh.
I'll be alright. I'll be
I
alright
mean, it's
without
not
it.
tasty. It's like soap.
Well, and that's the
Maybe
whole
like
thing.
dishwasher detergent.
I don't think
That's
any alcohol to me personally is tasty, but it serves a purpose.
I mean, I was liking your smoky scotch.
So I like that. But I'm
It's
not
not something
saying,
I would drink if it wasn't alcohol.
so if I'm comparing it with other whiskeys, I like it. But like honestly, most alcohol I drink, I'm just drinking it for the purpose of getting fucked up.
That's what's good about this rum.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not hating it, but it's one of those things where it's like, ugh, maybe I did pour a little much.
Yeah, you poured a glass of, well, not a glass, but
Yeah, I mean, a double shot at least.
that's more than 2 shots.
I think it's 2 shots.
Did you drink any?
Yeah, I took.
You have like 2 shots
I
left.
took. Fuck you. You want to go ahead and rate this beer?
So our first beer of the day, very large can of 19.2. Sweetwater Hazy. I'm not sure why the hazy has periods in between each letter. Like maybe they have some kind of acronym, but I didn't see any acronym.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm sure it's an acronym.
That would
But
be a tough acronym with the Z and the Y. You want to give it a shot?
Nope. I was trying. I was like, I
Yeah,
can't
the
get
Z
past the
and
A.
Y. Happy anniversary, Zoo Year.
Zay, Zay Young.
There you go.
Yep.
And it's a double IPA. So there actually is a version of this that's just called hazy, and this is the double version, which that's how we do. By Sweetwater Brewing in Atlanta, Georgia. It's an Imperial Double IPA, the double version of hazy.
Oh, Detroit didn't take the first tight end off the board. My bad. Buffalo did.
The first, tight end.
Yeah. Fuck them.
This has notes of mango, passion fruit, pineapple, and pine. You know we like pine in our beer.
Fucking love it.
Wheat and oats keep it smooth. I think it was overall pretty good. 8.5%.
That's not
Decently
hateful.
strong.
It's decent across the board. It tastes pretty solid. The percentage is pretty nice. I'm gonna give it a 7.2.
Get a nice big can of it too.
Yeah. That can actually kind of help. So give me a 7.3.
I'm gonna give it 7.6. Yeah. I almost went 7.7.
I feel like, okay, I'm talking into the mic and I'm talking pretty good right here. Like I'm looking at the joint and it's like everything's like low and I'm like, nah, because we're like everything's working fine. I think it's just I need to stay close to the mic because I keep like zeroing off from the mic. I mean, Phil recorded the other night. Maryland and Phil recorded, so he's loud as fuck. So the mic, your mic might be a little further away because I be telling him like last time he came to record, he got excited like, oh Dante, you got the mic stand, it's on a boom, and like he starts like adjusting it. Like it was like, yo, what are you doing, dude? The mic is where it needs to be. Like, why are you trying to like put it above your head? Like who the fuck you think you are? You ain't in the studio. Chill, son. So that's why I think like yours might be a little bit off just because like where you're sitting, normally you're fine, but I think he had to push his back. That does not look appealing. That is not.
Dante, we need positive attitude.
That's
Positive attitude.
That's positive.
I don't want to give you any information about it except for
well, the look is enough
impact your
information.
score.
I'm gonna drink this rum instead. Like this looks horrible.
We gotta get enough to rate it. You might like it.
It doesn't look like I'm gonna like it.
I mean,
I'm so not even convinced that's how I'm pouring it.
this was supposed to be our third beer, but I feel like there might potentially a palate cleanse might be needed.
All right.
This rum, by the way, that we're drinking is spelled RHUM.
That's
So
not
it's
positive. Dummies can't even
fancy.
spell. Dumb fuck.
Bobbincourt rum Bobbincourt, and it's aged 4 years.
Okay. That's wild. Oh yeah, speaking of IPAs. So so I went out because I was off all last week. Just in between jobs, I was like, look, I'm gonna take a week off, bust chills. I went up and had lunch with my goddaughter because she's having a baby at the end of the month. So I was like, okay, let me go hang out, have some lunch, and just catch up and talk. And you know, we got to talking about because there's a liquor store near where we were eating at. We got pizza. Pizza was good as shit, son. Like it was real good. But I say that with every pizza. So like,
Not too many bad pizzas.
yeah. I mean, and even when it's bad, it's still pretty fucking good. So as we're talking, she's talking about her husband. She was like, yeah, he doesn't really like IPAs. I was like, let me guess. He drinks Budweiser, Bud Light, and shit like that. I was like, yeah, he really likes Budweiser. I was like, of course he doesn't like IPAs. I was like, you understand that IPA. And then as she and I got to talk, I was like, I don't really drink beer, but yeah, I like a heavier beer. I don't mind IPA. I was like, okay, all right, we talking now. I was like, obviously you're not drinking them right now. You got a fucking baby in your stomach, but still, I was like, all right, that's fair. I mean, just think about it too. Like when you're drinking an IPA, for the most part, you're getting those higher percentage beers, less to get fucked up. So let him know that, before he, goes out and buy another fucking 24 pack of Budweiser.
That's what I always find funny is, and again, we used to not be the IPA guys because until we started probably really the podcast, so we got more into them. But it's like, as a beer drinker now, we drink more than 300s. You know what's funny is we're in the probably top 1% of how many beers we've had of like people in America. There's not too many people who've had more than 300 different beers. There's certainly people that have probably had way more than us.
I'm sure.
I guarantee we're in the top 1% of people.
Well, until they give me my goddamn trophy, it don't mean nothing
We'll
yet.
get a trophy.
I want a trophy. I told you there's a BJJ Wiki Championship belt. Like, I think I'm about to, ask that dude, because I had to do who won it. He was on the podcast last week. I just dropped that episode on Monday. And then the dude who runs the promotion that had the belt, he's been on the podcast in the past, and he actually told the story as to why he put BJJ Wiki on the belt. And I was like, I appreciate that. That's cool, because I'm one of the only, I guess, sponsors that hasn't contributed anything, but I do promote the show a lot, or I have in the past. So, but I'm going to find out a way to get one of those belts. And I think so. There's only one, and the dude who has it, he's going to defend it in July. I think the event got moved to August, but he's going to defend it this summer. And we're not in the same weight class. He's 170. I'm not even close. Like, I'm not even close to 170.
We talked about, or someone talked about in our volleyball group of getting championship belts, and I was just thinking, like, I know because I keep track, but it's like I win every series. That belt better be mine. It's like a 90%. It's not what I was expecting at all.
I don't really taste anything on it, though.
It's called old. It's a Scotch ale. So I was expecting there is some kind of supposed smokiness. There's no smokiness.
No.
It doesn't taste. I don't know what this tastes like.
I was expecting some spices looking at it.
It didn't taste anything. Like I was expecting this could potentially not be so good. It's not hateful. It's not good.
Yeah.
I don't even know what this taste is.
I can't. It was not as bad as that one that had
It's
no
almost
taste.
like a Guinness, but sweeter. Like, but it shouldn't be a Guinness because it's a Scotch ale.
Yeah. Like, there's not really much taste to this for me.
Which
I mean,
makes it kind of crushable.
there's a little bit of a taste, but it's not a bad taste. You know, it's not overpowering. It's just there in the middle. It's like, okay, here I am.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's tasty, but it's very easily crushable.
Like, I can say the smell, I'm not crazy about when I, tip it up, but there's no, like, taste at all.
There's no, there, it's a taste of something, but I don't even know how to describe it. It's not a bad taste.
It's almost like I said, when you look at it, it looks like it should have spices in it. And it's like you could taste a hint.
Yeah,
a very small hint.
I was expecting this to taste like Scotch because it's a Scotch ale. So I was like, that could either be really good or really bad. I was expecting more probably on the bad. Like Scotch with beer? I don't know about that. But, I mean, we'll get to the alcohol percentages. It's pretty decent. Not as good as the first beer. I will say this is a very crushable beer, though, because it doesn't have a strong taste. But yeah, that's real quick with the light beer thing. It's like we used to drink light beers, and it's like after drinking all these IPAs, Bud Light tastes so bad. Like, it's like pea water.
When I went up to
and it's like does nothing.
Yeah. So when I went to record episode 400, even though the beer that he gave me was a 4 or 5, it wasn't much of anything. At least it has some character and some flavor to it. And like it at least gave me that. But it was still a 4 or 5. It was like, okay, this is a party beer, but it still had personality. Bud Light, Miller Lite, all of those, no personality at all. It's just water. Coors is the wateriest of them all, I think. But the others aren't far behind. They're all
Coors
just
is the wateriest,
trash.
but then Bud Light's the like seltzer wateriest. Of
Yeah.
them all. It's like more carbonated Coors Light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a fair comparison. Yeah, like I don't know. Now I feel like when I went up to have lunch, the ideal was because I said to her mom, Teresa, I was like, hey, are you guys going to be around on Tuesday? Because I was going to be up in Newmarket, so I got to drive back anyway. And she was like, well, no, I'm going to be working. I was like, well, technically I wasn't looking for you. Like, is the kid going to be around? She was like, hold on, let me find it. No, she's working. I was like, okay, fine. So I text my goddaughter later in the week because I forgot. And the ideal was, again, I want to sit down and have lunch with her. Because whenever we schedule anything, like we're supposed to have dinner a while back. And it was supposed to be, Sarah, myself, the kid, and then her and her husband. And it was just going to be like us. Just sit down and talk, like hang out, chat. And, Teresa was like, hey, I'm going to come along too. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And when she did, my goddaughter kind of shut down. Like she didn't talk. And I was like, So I wanted to make sure that when we went out to lunch, like it's us. Your husband can come along too. That's fine. But like, she's a fun kid. She cracks me up. So I wanted to like get that personality out. And then when she started talking about beer, I was like, I knew it was in there. I knew you were in there. It was like, it's weird to hear. Like, oh yeah, when I do drink beer, like she doesn't drink beer at all. She was like, but when I do, like if I have to choose something, it'll be an IPA, you know, something with a little bit of fill into it. I was like, all right, that's my girl. Like,
Yeah, nowadays it's like a light beer just does nothing. And if you're like, because you know, like I'm trying to lose weight right now. You think the light beer is more calorie conscious, but it's like no, you got to drink freaking like 3 or 4 of them to get one effect of one IPA.
yeah,
So I think you're better off if you're trying to cut weight doing the strong alcohol IPA.
yeah. I mean, because really, all you need is one, maybe two, depending on
Two,
what
like,
your
Yeah,
goal
one,
is.
if it's, I mean, we've done
Yeah.
many 10% above.
Yeah,
You're
well,
gonna
that's what I
start
mean.
feeling buzzed over 10%.
Like, well, and you know, if you're sitting there drinking, like, well, that's the thing. If you get a 6-pack of those, you're not drinking all those. If you're drinking all those, you're a fucking lunatic.
So if you drink
You got a problem.
over 10% beers, you're fucked up.
So,
Yo, I just saw one of those DUI videos, and they stressed me out because I just feel bad. But dude was like, "So how long have you been drinking?" He kept going. Well, like, how long have you and your friends been drinking? He kept going. 1 year. He keeps going. No. How much today? 1 year. And he kept, like, that don't even make sense. 1 year.
there was a video my teammate sent me. It was a chick in Florida. She's in a bikini and she gets pulled over, and it's like, I mean, them's the rules, girl. Because you know she's out there doing the fucking field sobriety test. And I'm just like, man, tough job for this guy. Like, I guess you got to pat her down now. He did. He was cool about everything. He was like, look, you know, I'm placing you under arrest and all that. But I was just looking at that video. I was like, I'm not stressed by this at all. I'm quite enjoying it, as a matter of fact. But yeah, so that was my week. Oh, and just also being off for the week, I recorded a whole bunch. Like, I don't have to record off the mats until probably the 14th or the 21st or something. I'm like good for a while. So I'm excited about that, just being caught up. Like, way caught up. But it was really this ideal of like, okay, this week I'm going to take the time, maybe like fucking mow the backyard because it needs it. Instead, I filled up all my time with recording. I was like, every moment that there's space available, I recorded except for Friday.
This is a shitty ass weekend weather-wise.
Well, yeah. Well,
Saturday ended up being better than expected. Sunday was pretty bad.
When you text me, was it Friday? I think you texted me. It was like, you know, maybe this week, you know, not a good week for day drinking. I was like, that's fine, whatever. Because I knew it was gonna rain, but I was like, let me still drink inside. And
Well, I was hoping to take you to that one new place we went to. It was pretty fun.
well, I mean, I don't have to go to a special place, Steven. Okay, I just have to be able to drink. Although this week I'm off limits because number one, I ain't really got no money. And number two, I'm recording Saturday night, but and the only issue with that is I have to drive up to Newmarket to do it. So I don't want to go out and get fucking plastered. And
I
then
just realized you drank. That's the first time you drank one of these type of beers before me.
well, I didn't have a lot though, dude.
I know. That's why you need to get some
Fuck
more.
you. I'm drinking this rum right now.
But it's better now.
Actually, this rum is a little aggressive.
Oh, it is.
Like, I don't think I'm.
So I didn't pour as much as you, but I drank mine faster than you.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Ooh, what's this?"
I'm gonna take one more sip of it because again, I got to get this set for tomorrow, and I want to be able to actually fucking show up to work on time. Because today we went in at 8:30.
Well, I told them. I was like, he sometimes drinks and shows up late.
He's like, hey, no, he's a good
We have
employee.
this podcast. So, like, we're actually recording tonight, so don't expect him to even come in tomorrow.
So when we were doing like the introductions, which I hate those. Like, you know, tell us something about you things, because I don't know. I don't ever know what to say, because like it's either I could say very little or I can go in. So I was like, okay, well, you know, I'm Dante. You know, got a wife. I got a daughter. I've been with my wife. You know, we've been together for 23 years. My daughter, she'll be 7 in 1 week. And, you know, we're like kind of going through that. And I was like, I do martial arts. Because I'm trying to tiptoe around the idea, like, do I mention the podcast? Because I do 3 of them, and 2 out of the 3 aren't terrible. But I don't think they want to listen to this one.
Yeah.
Considering. But when I was recording on Saturday, I'm telling Phil, he was like, yeah, I don't ever mention to anybody that I do any of the podcast stuff. I was like, I do. I don't shy away from who I am with the podcast. I just know on each of the podcasts, I do present myself differently But you still get Dante out of those recordings. If I'm doing off the mats and if I'm having a good time, like the dude I recorded with, he was drinking whiskey. This is like midday. He's drinking whiskey. I'm drinking wine. We're having fun. We're cracking jokes. We're talking and just loving life. When I do the horror podcast, when I recorded with Manuel, had a good fucking time. I recorded with my buddy Ricky, had a good fucking time. When we do this show, we're always having a good time. So it's like you're always gonna get flashes of the personality, but it's like when people are like, okay, well, what's your podcast about? Well, I'm like, well, I got 3 of them. I got, a martial arts one. Most people aren't going to be interested in that, so I leave it at that. But it's more than just martial arts. And I was like, I do one about horror movies if you're into that. And they're like, ooh, I like horror movies. Like, yeah, go check it out. Now I do a beer review show. So, I mean, we talk about beer, we talk about sports. So, just kind of trying to steer people away, especially if they're females. I don't
Well, yeah, there's a certain clientele. Oh,
Yeah.
we got our questions in just now, but
nice.
yeah. So that came up recently. We had some out of town visitors. I want to say where, what,
Yeah.
but where it was just like, and one person of the out of town knew that I had a podcast, but I've told them it's like it's not PC, so I don't. It's careful who we promote. She's just like she kind of announced it for everyone. I was like, what is this? I was like, you don't want to know. Because this was not the right crowd for that.
So, well, it's also kind of one of those things like when you see the crowd, though, too, you got to present it in a way where they don't want to hear it. But then if you get the right crowd, you want to present it in a way where it's like, I want you to hear it. But it's like, because like my grandparents know about it, and I let them know very clear, you don't want to listen to this podcast.
My parents have asked, like, you still doing that podcast with Dante? What's it called again? I don't know what's called. Dante has that.
I mean, chances are they're not gonna. And I think honestly, I think if your dad listened to it, he'd probably like, oh, it's not bad. I think your mom, it might be a bit much for her. So
oh yeah, man, I'll be disappointed.
They were like, so Stevie, we updated the will, and we hate to break it to you, but Brett's out of it.
But I think
because he's not on the podcast.
I'm the responsible one though. So
true. I mean, well, that's the thing though too. It's like when we talk about like the family dynamic, with my grandparents, myself, and then like all of their kids, it's like the question always becomes, you hate to think about it, but it's like when they go, who picks up the pieces and runs, who's keeping the family together? And it's like, is it me? Probably not, because I hate most of the motherfuckers. But the family that's down here, yes. Like Bruce, Tracy, I guess Tyja's down here now. So, it's like, yes, we were still at Santana. So we would still stay, close. But then there's also the idea of like, okay, like up in Detroit when family reunions happen, Kevin's other daughter, Raven, she handles shit like that. It's like, good for her. I'm proud of her. So it's like, we've kind of got it under control, but then it's like, well, who's responsible in the sense of like when it comes time for the will? It's like, look, man, I don't even care. Like, and I can say that with the idea of like, okay, there might be, we don't know what's happening with the house because they've changed it so many times. But I think the last it was said is the house was going to sell, and then Bruce and I split. I was like, that's fine. I don't care. I mean, quite honestly, I don't feel like you see these movies and these stories about people who there's fights over the estate, and I know that would be the case with our family. And it's like, I don't care. I don't want to fight over it. So if there's nothing left to me, I don't care. I'm going to move on with my life.
I don't think, certain situations with one side of my family, they don't get along, and I know something happened of like, I don't know if something was left or not, but I'm always told not to talk to the person in charge. So I think I've gotten some calls like trying to discuss this, but I just follow the wishes of my parent. I don't answer that call.
Yeah.
Can you? I always wondered. This was fearful for me. Can you inherit debt?
Yes.
I don't think you can as a kid.
I don't know how that works.
I think a spouse can.
So when Charles passed, he had student loans. He had me and I think his mom maybe listed as emergency contacts. And the college reached out to me, and I was like, nah. It's fucked up because they called me on Mother's Day or Sunday. I was like, nah, call this number. It's fucked up to send them to their mom
that's just
on
fucked up.
Mother's Day.
What do you think? I'll pay for his college? Hell no.
Like, yeah, no, eat a dick. Like, Because then, like, well, whose credit does that affect? Not mine, not hers. So no, but they're still trying to collect it. So I don't know how it. I don't think it can affect you negatively, but they will still call. I haven't heard back. Maybe
Yeah,
maybe
that's
they
some
did try to
shit.
reach out, but I don't answer, like I
Yeah.
don't answer my phone in numbers that aren't saved on the phone.
Yeah, friends. Oh, hell no, that they should be responsible for anything.
Yeah, well, exactly. It was like because when they called me, I was like, okay, cool. You know, when I told them, I was like, oh no, he's deceased. Like I don't know why you calling me. And then they start talking about the dead. I was like, oh, I mean that sucks, but you can call his mom. Like, fuck you want from me, dude? Like, and I don't think that was the
I guess
ideal.
maybe some people bite.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like any scammer that calls anyone is like they do the scam because someone falls for it at some point.
Yeah,
So
you try 1,000 people, one person falls for it, you might get your friggin' rent for the week.
yeah, I
Or the
mean,
month.
it's a win. So I don't know, like when it's all said and done, whatever happens with my grandparents, I trust whatever the judgment is, and if they say, hey, we're leaving a bunch of shit to you and you're responsible for all this, I'm gonna turn right to Bruce. Like, so I'm responsible for some shit, but I need some help because I'm not responsible at all. But I think my grandparents do understand that there's a certain level of responsibility that I'm willing to take. And when it comes to like the whole ideal of like managing a bunch of shit with the family, I will only fuck with the family down here. I have no desire to fuck with, going up to Detroit and trying to manage shit up there. And then, everything with my mom. Yeah, so it's like, oh, here's your mom in the picture of it all. Okay, and like, like, what do you want from me? Because I remember my grandma used to like, I was like, hey, can you send your mom X amount of dollars? I was like, no, but I could send you some money and you could do whatever you want with it. Like, it's just a rough relationship there, and like every so often I'll reach out to her just to check in, and I do have some sympathy, but it's nothing where I'm like, man, I gotta help this broad. No, it's more like you made poor choices, homie. Should have been nicer to me, you know.
Kind of the way I was brought up is you look after yourself. So I don't expect anything from anyone else, but I also don't expect someone else necessarily. At least me, I don't have a good relationship with any extended family.
Yeah.
Like if I was standing next to him in a grocery store, I would probably not know. I don't think I would recognize anyone.
Well,
It's been so long.
there's tons of family that we have, like little cousins that we'll see, and we're like, oh, that's your cousin. It's like, oh, really?
I think this one
Nice.
we gotta
Nice.
rate the other one because this might be drastically different.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, let's go ahead and jump to this review real quick.
All right. So this one's called Old Chub. Oh, you got a little left. You didn't want it?
I told you there was a little bit more left. I poured some.
I thought it was Old Club at first, but Old Chub. Oscar Blues. We've had them before. I swear every time I look up Oscar Blues, it's a different location. This said Longmont, Colorado. It's a Scottish strong ale brewed with 7 malts, and it has some beechwood smoked grains. So when I hear Scotch, I think smoky flavor. This has no smoky flavor.
No.
This tastes, if I was to describe it, tastes like a creamy Guinness. Like it's a little sweet compared to a red, but it's similar to a Guinness, but like sweet. 8%, so not bad. I feel like it's a very crushable beer, and it is very hard to describe the taste. Like my last taste, I felt like it was a sweet Guinness.
I didn't really get much of like there was like a slight taste, a very slight. I mean, we were talking about it, so
It's
I mean, we
creamy
kind
to
of went
me.
over it. Yeah.
Like it tastes like a little bit like a ice creamish type beer. Like I said, like a sweet Guinness. I like this better than Guinness, and it's 8%.
So the 8% kind of
I
saves
don't
it a
get
little
where
bit for me,
I don't get where the Scotch comes from.
but this isn't one that I'm crazy about. I don't know that I would buy this. I'm gonna give it a 6.9 because I do like the 8%, but I'm not buying this.
So
And it doesn't taste bad. It's one that I don't see myself drinking again.
the taste grew on me. I would say this. I actually kind of, the taste grew on me because I would say, again, it's like a sweet Guinness. The, I don't know how you would call it.
Flavonoids.
Not the flavor, the texture, not texture, but if you were
Yeah.
talking about food, it'd be the texture. It's a little bit like kind of heavy, and I don't like that. It's very dark beer.
Yeah.
But the 8%, and I feel like the taste makes it very crushable. But it's like crushable where you're going to have a stomachache after.
Yeah. So that's what I was thinking when you said it was crushable. I was like, it's crushable in flavor, but it's not crushable in feel. Like, it does feel like it would be heavy on me.
It feels heavy. This feels like a Guinness. I am going to go into the 7s, but I think I'm just going to... See, it's weird because I kind of liked the flavor the more I was drinking it.
Yeah, I mean, the flavor grew, but it wasn't something that felt like, again, for me at least, that, like, even though the flavor grew on me, it didn't feel like it grew enough for me to say, dude, I want to buy this beer. Like,
I'm going to go 7-4.
And Jesus, relax.
That's not bad. We've differed more than that. Well, yeah, that's a big difference for us. A 0.5.
Well, no, I mean, we've had some that are drastically different, but still. But I mean, you know, the score is what it is. I'm not, you know, that's something I always kind of get, and I've mentioned this before, I'm sure on any of the podcasts, is when someone likes something and people are like, oh, you like that? Or if someone doesn't like something, it's like, what? You don't like that? It's like, motherfucker, I can have an opinion. It's okay.
Oh, yeah. And I never have, well, no, I guess there's maybe a few things I would be like, what the fuck? You don't like that? Like, if you tell me you don't like Fight Club, I feel like my initial reaction is probably like, oh, you didn't understand it. You need to watch it again. But
No, it's like
you could hate it.
the funny thing is, I don't hate Fight Club. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. I think what I hate is that eventually there became this cult of it where everyone tries to act super philosophical and act like the movie is like, you know, this great period piece of like, it explains what, you know, what our society really is and da-da-da. And it's like, that was a really fucking good movie. But also, let's not get it twisted. I mean, we hold these pieces of art up like, you know, like they're the greatest things. And for some people, like that grittiness to it, I love David Fincher's, like, not David Fincher. Was it David Fincher?
I think it was.
He was, because like he did Seven,
I feel like
Zodiac.
he made that movie. Because when I hear some stories and, you know, that authored the book, had been on like Joe Rogan, a lot of what it got interpreted as wasn't really his intention.
No, I know. Yeah, the book was like slightly different, and yeah, the interpretations were.
It's like
he was all over it because he's a nut job.
oh,
that
he's
dude.
crazy. But yeah, some of the things were like I like the dialogue and I like the ideas, and it's like that's not what his intentions were though.
Well, and
like he accidentally backed into that sort of, because I think most of his writings was like pretty bad reviews.
yeah.
And even I read Fight Club 2, the illustrated comic. It's not good.
No, it's not.
But
And I was excited when it came out.
So much
like I rushed
potential.
out and bought it each month. I was like, yes. And as I'm reading, it was getting worse and worse. But I kept buying it, and I was like, fuck, I'm in too deep.
Yeah, I got the whole thing. I was like, this story's.
Well,
whack.
you probably bought it like in a trade, though, like a single. Like I was buying them. Like
I got it all.
I was getting them in Lucy, so I was like, all right, each month, let me get Fight Club 2. And I'm reading, I was like, fuck, I got to get the next one. I don't want to get the next one, but I have to get the next one because I'm a completionist when it comes to comics. So it's like, I got to get it all.
I to this day, I have what I feel is a good idea for Fight Club 2. But
Yeah,
is there people that write like a part 2 and it's not like
if it's
permission
licensed
by the author necessarily?
I mean, you get sued. But like with George Lucas with Star Wars, he licensed the characters out. He was like, do what you want, make a extended universe, and a lot of people started writing other Star Wars stories.
If I was to write
fine.
anything, I would want to write Fight Club 2. Because I feel like I like the idea of what I have. But what the direction he went was kind of whack.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, like, again, I don't dislike Fight Club. Like, but I feel the same way about Fight Club as I do about Ravens fans. And like lots of things with fans. Because fans are what run anything. I mean, I can even say that for MMA. and I'm a MMA fan, but fans are ruining it for me because it's like you get, the guys that are like, they're not really fans, but they watch it on ESPN, so they think like, oh, I'm a purist, I blah 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 blah. And then, then there are fans like me, and I fall into an elitist group as well. I'm a dick as well because I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about George St. Pierre. Let's talk about Matt Hughes. Let's talk about Vitor Belfort when he debuted at 19 years old. Let's talk about like all the old shit. I'm in a group of assholes as well, and I'm sure people hate me as a fan. But it's like there's a level though where it's like I know where to back off. Whereas like you'll get like drunk Todd at the bar. He was like, just running his mouth. I was like, ugh. Like I remember I got into an argument on Facebook back when it was cool to argue on Facebook about UFC because it was GSP versus I cannot remember who. But the dude was like, GSP is going to get knocked out in the first round. And I was like, okay, so you're fucking off your rocker. And as he's talking, he's like, okay, I can tell you know a little bit about MMA. I was like, well, look, the last time GSP got dropped was against fucking Matt Serra. And I mean, granted, he got knocked out. He lost that fight. But he even admitted that when he got hit, he had never been hit like that before. So he didn't know how to recover from being knocked down. So he tried to get up, which made it worse. Whereas when he fought Carlos Condit and he got rocked like that again, he waited so he can get his bearing, and then he recovered and then fucking went on to win the fight. And as I'm told, he's like, oh shit, like, you want to meet me up at Green Turtle? Like, let's go watch the fights together. I was like, nah, whatever was going on, I couldn't go out. But I was like, but like in that instance, it's like, look, dude, I'm not like the rest of these fucking, jackasses on the fucking internet. I know some shit too. Like, you might know some shit, but I don't know what your shit is based off of. Whereas, like, I'm basing it off of watching so many hours of MMA, like I'm fucking sick at this point. But the fans of Fight Club, present company excluded, more so internet fans, it fucking make me sick because it's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, you're building on this philosophical thing that, like, the one thing that you can see plain as day, the movie is about, and then people like to go and twist other like meanings out of it. It's like, okay, shut the fuck up. Like, just enjoy the movie for what it is. And it's a fucking great movie. Like, every time I see it when I'm flipping through for streaming, like, I want to watch it. But then I'm like, I know I'm going to watch it. Now I'm going to sit there and nitpick it because of the internet. Whereas, like, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have. I would have watched it and be like, dude, that was so fucking good, dude. I missed this fucking movie. Like, I need to watch this movie more. But now I can enjoy it.
I've seen
just
it
like
too much.
I can't like the
It's
Ravens.
tough for me to watch now.
Yeah, there are quite a few of those films for me now, even that I love.
It's almost like I think I know every line that's coming next. So it's like,
We watched Mallrats the other night, and I forgot that I knew every line to Mallrats because as it's going on, I'm just saying all the lines. I was like, oh my God, I must be annoying to someone. Sarah was sitting there. But it's like, I mean, but we have those movies, though, that you like so much. You watch it, you absorb it, and you break it down. And then there are people that read the Cliff Notes and then say, oh, I understand it too. Like, I have Google as well. I have Wikipedia. I can do that also. Cocksuckers.
man, Bear picked a movie the other night. Sorry, Bear. She falls asleep instantly. A lot.
Then why is she allowed to pick movies? Like, let me guess, can she vote?
But this one was like,
They're not allowed to vote anymore.
so she loved Dumb and Dumber, which the first one is funny, but the way she laughed was hilarious. But she picked Larry the Cable Guy, Health Inspector. I had seen parts of it before, and back then it was like, when he was in his heyday, he was kind of funny back then. That shit does not age well. This movie is so, and she fell asleep instantly, and then I kept going like, you want to go to the room? No. So I'm like stuck kind of watching it. This movie was so freaking bad. Oh my God. It was bad. What happened to that guy? Does he still wear the same? Because he reminded me of Stone Cold, where he just wore the same freaking outfit.
I can't remember what his real name is, but he's like a...
But yeah, I was wondering, because I know Jeff Foxworthy was rich as hell, but playing this little redneck role.
Yeah, they
it's
all
same
were.
with like country singers of like, that shit cracks me up of how when someone feels they're country, and I'm like, this dude is so rich. He's wearing designer jeans. He's wearing makeup. He has a $500 haircut. That shit's feathered. That shit's
Yeah.
combed. He got the mullet there. That shit's real tight.
Yeah.
There's nothing country about this dude. Like, he's never ridden a tractor.
Well, and that's the funny thing though, because the fan base, because the guy looks like that, it ain't
No, all
dudes.
you gotta say is something. Well, you used to be able to say Bud Light. Now you can't say Bud Light.
Well, no, it's Budweiser. My Budweiser.
You mentioned tractor. Meanwhile, none of these dudes have ever been on a tractor. These dudes are so rich they've never been. There's very few pop country artists. They're like legit from the country too. It's like
Well, and that was the thing that like that late '90s. So late '90s, because I liked some country because Dixie Chicks, Shania Twain, Faith Hill. I see a pattern here.
white chicks.
Fucking right, doggy. And then it kind of spilled over into like, all right, let me listen to some Toby Keith, Clint. And there was a clear difference though when you listen to Toby Keith, Kenny Chesney, Tim McGraw. It was like, okay, it was poppy. Like Tim McGraw kind of stayed back, but you get guys like Toby Keith, Kenny Chesney kind of coming out of that, and it's like, oh, they're like pop stars, but they're pop country stars. And I'm not like Toby Keith's a big motherfucker, so I'm not gonna question that dude. He big as fuck. Like I ain't gotta say that. He probably fucking fold me up and put me in a suitcase, and that's okay. I'm gonna stay away from him. But then you look at like Clint Black. You listen to his album. It's like, oh, this is country music. Like this is like, there's nothing poppy about this. But then the women. I mean, there was that transition over because again, it was like it's women. Oh, these are pretty girls. Let's go ahead and listen to again Faith Hill, Shania Twain, Dixie Chicks. There are a few that tried to also crossover doing kind of similar music to them, like Shelly Wright, Shadazy, shit like that. And it was like, okay, I see what you're going for, but it's not gonna move over. And then country kind of went away from that, and then it came back with some of these other guys now. Who's the one that married Gwen Stefani? Blake Shelton. I think he's Australian or some shit. Maybe, I don't know. That's what I heard. Someone was like, he's a big Australian. I was like,
This dude's not. I just know he's not country.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I was like, huh, that's weird. You're from Australia? Like, what the fuck is that about? But
That dude looks rich as hell. Like,
they all are. Well, I don't say all,
yeah,
but a lot of them are.
It's funny too. Like, some of these country artists are living in Beverly Hills, shopping at Gucci, and y'all are thinking they freaking drive tractors and you can relate to them.
Yeah, it was like it was a guy that speaks for me. It was like, oh, if only you knew. Like, we don't like them Dixie Chicks. Fuck them. It's like, I mean, none of them like you. Well, that's.
Oh, I wanted to mention. This brings me into two things. So one, a follower we have on everything, but he had a rant. It was kind of like a political thing. And it was just like cancel culture. But he goes something about like, it was basically over the Bud Light thing. He's just like, I fucking hate cancel culture. Like, you need to fucking, the leftists always, they will pick something and then boycott it. But me, I'm not going to buy Bud Light. And then it was just funny. It was like, no, it was like when the leftists don't like something, they boycott it. But when the rightists don't like something, like he said something, but he was like, I refuse to buy Bud Light. And then one comment, he only had one comment. And it was like, aren't you kind of boycotting Bud Light by saying that? Like, you're not going to buy it. That's the same shit.
Yeah.
And you're not buying it because of, I guess, what did they actually do? Like, I don't even know. They put a man wearing a dress.
Yeah, some
like
a trans
transgender
person was put on the can, and
we've mentioned it, but I actually don't even know. I haven't seen this can, to be honest.
so yeah, neither have I. Well, and then I think they had some rainbow like rainbow flags on cans. Right. I don't know because I've not seen any of this.
And we mentioned this. Whatever, that's their marketing.
Yeah,
that's the wrong beer, to be honest. Like, Bud Light is a shitty beer that's only liked by.
So the thing is, though, they've done this before. Well, not with a trans person, but they're not on the cans.
I think they have like a new owner at Budweiser who's just trying something different. Because to be honest, the craft beers, there's so many craft beers, and like we mentioned, I'd rather buy the 8% beer than your shitty 4%
Yeah.
mass produced beer that's not very good. So
Um,
they're trying different things because I think we know we live near the Guinness
Yeah.
brewery. They now shut down production because how many people are buying Guinness now? When you have, I mean, the problem with beer companies, it sucks. There's so many now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing with a lot of things, though. Oversaturation. I mean, like I said with podcasts, like so I think they said there's something like 4 million, maybe 5 million podcasts. Now the numbers get skewed because that factors in people who've done one podcast and it never picked it back up.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
You know, so there's probably more of that than not. But the thing is, you know, when things start to get oversaturated, it does become difficult to kind of thrive in.
I mean, when we were in our 20s drinking, there's 7 legit choices.
So the thing is, though, with
There
those
wasn't
choices,
many choices.
they were all under Anheuser-Busch for the most
Oh,
part.
yeah.
For the most part. But the thing is,
Our choice was Bud Light, Coors Light, Budweiser,
Miller Lite,
cheap. Miller Lite was always
Busch.
a good one. But Miller Lite was kind of like the head of the pack because it was
Yeah.
like for a little bit higher.
what was it?
Beast Ice.
Beast Ice.
Cheap.
Um,
Then we had our 40s.
40s.
And 40s have now gone out of business.
Every so often, I'd start getting like Killian's and Yingling just because they're different.
Oh, and Killian's was like, "Oh, you different."
Yeah, it's like, oh, you drinking Killian's? Oh,
Yeah, you got some style.
somebody
to
got
you.
paid this week. Look at you.
Yeah, what? Oh, you got good taste in beer.
Meanwhile, you know, but you know, those are our options. And we were younger though; we were just drinking, and also the craft beers weren't where they are now.
No.
Where you know back then somebody's drinking an
Sam
IPA.
Adams kind of like popped up.
Sam
first.
Adams, yeah, you know, but like back then, you know, if cats are drinking, you know, anything that's not one of the bigger companies, you know, we're looking at them funny, like ugh, like. Well, but also too, you get people bringing in different my one teammate came over with a bunch of beers and they're all like different types of flavors, like fucking chocolate flavored and shit. I think one of them sat in that fridge for at least 2 years because I was like, I'm not drinking that. I don't know who drank it. It might have been you, but I know I didn't drink it. And I looked at that shit, I was like,
Yeah, I ain't feeling
no, that's what it was. We were watching fights and Teresa was here and she was like, are you gonna drink this? I was like, no. She opened it, took a sip, was like, I'm not either.
I'm open to a lot, but not the chocolate.
No, that
beers.
shit. It because he had one. I was like, I'm just looking. I was like, you're not welcome back.
Yeah, it's like, to me now, at our age, with so many choices, when you're drinking a light beer, I'm judging it. And I'm not a judgmental person. But I'm like, oh, you're kind of a bitch. You can't handle the 8%ers.
So you know what it is though? I think what it is like conditioning. They've always been conditioned in this ideal of like this is the right beer to get.
Yeah, and
also
some of
in
them are-
availability.
Yeah, and some of them are like, oh, y'all drink IPAs. What are you, a hipster? Like, nah.
So
I like
again,
8%ers.
that's also again in that conditioning because a group of people started saying that. So then I'm going to join in with them. Oh, you're hipsters because you're drinking IPAs. I was like, no. I mean, because I think when I started going off the rails, when I started drinking Flying Dog, specifically Raging Bitch, I was like, this is good. I like this. It was 8. I think it was like what 8.3%.
Yeah, Flying Dog is ridiculous.
And I was like, okay. And then I started
Raging
kind of
Bitches.
venturing out and getting some other ones. I was like, okay, I like this brand. But that's just the thing, though. It's like, look, if you don't like what a company's doing with what, talk with your wallet, don't buy it. But what I mean by that is don't buy a bunch of them just to destroy them. To show, the selective outrage, buy or don't buy any at all. You already got, I think Jack Daniels, the one dude pointing out all his Jack Daniels, like,
Yeah,
go broke.
It was just like this guy where he's saying, like, I'm not going to buy Bud Light. But it was like, you just talked about how you shouldn't do cancel culture. You're basically canceling Bud Light for doing whatever it is that it's done.
Well, I think
I just think it's this is a weird one because Bud Light, one, I don't think is liked by that demographic at all.
And the funny thing is, I think a few of them started buying it just
Oh, I
because, just to
have
be
actually
spiteful.
seen it. It's been
Well, there's this
there's
one
a few
dude
picking up.
that I follow on TikTok. I haven't been on TikTok in a while. I need to get back on there. Like the twerk videos aren't like they used to be, dude. But like there's this one dude. He's gay.
Man,
He's
have you seen the new trend?
what?
I gotta pee.
Oh, okay, all right. Hey, y'all, we'll
This
be
might
back.
be off.
All right, just kidding. We're back. See, y'all thought that was like forever. It was only a couple seconds. But yeah, there's on TikTok this one dude. He's definitely a gay gentleman, and he's a cowboy. I think he's in Texas, or Oklahoma. I can't remember which one of the two. But he's very outspoken about like, gay rights and and himself being gay, and then also being of that culture, that cowboy culture. And the funny thing is like, look, man. I mean, be what you're gonna be, like what you're gonna like. If like, look, Bud Light puts a trans person on the fucking can, it doesn't taste the flavor of the beer. It still tastes like piss. So if you like drinking piss, go ahead and do it. You can also go to the bathroom and piss in the cup.
That's how I feel like if I was a gay person, I'd be pissed. That's the beer? But
Like,
nah.
like of all the
Let's
choices,
get something good.
you couldn't get one on Sam Adams. I mean, at least there's a person on the fucking bottle. Like that's easy. That's an easy fix right there. But honestly, it like I said, people just wanted to be mad about something, and that's fine.
Yeah,
Just be mad.
want to join the groups. We still have. I mean, it's crazy to me the right versus the left. I feel like the right's more strong in terms of being against the left.
They're together. They're more together.
But it's
Well,
bad.
they used to be more together. Now, because of the whole Trump thing, it's starting to get weird. But
It's like I see the right now posting a lot of like cancel culture type stuff, but then they're canceling stuff. It doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense. No, I'm never gonna drink, but like you just
So-
fucking canceled.
so,
them.
but that's the thing, though. They say, "Well, we hate cancel culture." But what did you do in 2020? Oh, you canceled Nike.
yeah, I wanted
Who's
to
doing
mention
okay?
this comedian that's been blowing up on social media and he's killing it right now is Matt Rife. I'm
yeah,
sure
yeah,
you've come
yeah.
across him because he's funny as hell. He's like the Ovana. Like his instant
Yeah.
humor is top notch, like A plus, A plus.
Yeah,
But I
like-
came across an old special from him. It was before he was big, and it's low budget. He produced it, put it on himself. The venue's like folding chairs. It looks like it's in the basement. We posted like some black curtains in the back, but he put it on himself because dude blew up. Now I'm sure he's making bank right now. And he's viral as hell. But his act at the end, he talks for a long time about being canceled. And he's like, he's like from Ohio. which
that's the perfect reason to cancel him.
but you've had nothing good to say about Ohio.
Not at all.
He didn't either.
You know what's the best thing to say about Ohio? It shouldn't exist.
But he was saying, he grew up. Almost all of his friends were black. When he was 15, you know how we used to do. Same thing.
Yeah,
Friends go back and forth. You diss each other.
yeah.
So a friend made fun of like his teeth or something, like saying something about his like, yo, you could eat your food without even opening your mouth. And he was like, damn, that shit got me because it was true. And he said, I think whatever the line was, he responded with a Chief Keef lyric. He said, because it was like a similar line.
Yeah.
And he responded, but that line back said the N word. Meanwhile, all his friends are black, and he's 15.
Yeah.
So years later, he's successful. Now he's blowing up, and then people are like, that resurfaced, and they're trying to cancel him.
Of course.
And first thing I'll say is something we've always been saying on here. He was like, I'm a big believer that people can change, and I'm like, yeah, stop holding people to fucking something they said 20 years ago. They're not the same person, maybe.
Yes.
And 15, especially, like, and he was like, what I said, I understand why it's offensive. Like, I didn't mean it that way, but I understand. I'm sorry for it. And it's like, I'm 15. But it was a lyric of a song without, like,
Yeah.
whatever the response to him was kind of similar to a lyric. So he responded back of, like, the the follow up lyric.
Um,
And it's just like, yo, people, you think that that person should never be allowed to work again?
and that's what fucking angers me about canceling of anything. Is like you have the audacity to say, "Oh, well, they shouldn't be allowed to earn." Okay, well, look, if you don't like what they said, don't go.
Yeah,
Like
you
talk
don't
with talk
listen
with
to
your wallet, your wallet. Like what was there was something that felt I can't even remember now because we've had some drinks now. My memory's all types of shot. But there was a situation recently where I think I was trying to be. They were trying to pull me into kind of some cancel shit, and I was like, nah, nah. Like if I don't like something, I don't like something. But I'm not gonna rally the troops. Like there was one situation on BJJ Wiki I had to because I was personally attacked. Not attacked. I was personally manipulated and misused, and I saw it happen to someone else, and I didn't realize that was a bigger thing just yet. But then I saw it, and I went out, warned that person, and I saw another friend of mine doing it. I warned them too, and then it turned to this thing. It turned to a campaign, and it sucks because this company, they were in position to fucking rule the world. They had a good product, very great price. They fucked it up. So this is the only time that I've been on any kind of a cancel this motherfucker kind of campaign. But the thing is, let's say you've got your own podcast. We let's say we've never had a podcast, and you said something stupid back in the day, and I see you blowing up. There's no need to try to sink your ship. Like why? I think the world is just full of bored people.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally he didn't say it in a bad way. He did say the N-word as a white person, but that is the song lyric.
So, and the thing is that gets slippery because, again, we understand the context and we understand it's kind of you don't do it. But the thing is, it's like, okay, he was a kid. He was 15. You know, if I was being held to the standard of everything I did as a 15-year-old, 14, 13, 16, 20-year-old, 24-year-old, like, I mean, shit, I told you when they, the job was like, oh, we got to do a background check. I got nervous. I was like, uh-oh. Here comes some shit.
Yeah, I mean, also, songs we liked in the 90s. It's funny, I think I mentioned this on you. I was like, there were certain artists that I was a little put off. They were literally because I can't sing the song.
Yeah.
It says the N-word every other line, and I can't.
There's some songs I won't reshare
say it.
on Instagram because they dropped the N-bomb so many times. And I'm just like, oh, God, I don't want to do this. Because I put up a post the other day. The account that I reshared from was a Black Woman Black Belt. I may have mentioned it on here. I know I talked about it somewhere. I probably talked about it on So You Like Horror, the behind the scenes version. And someone came at me about it. Like a few people, they try to dog pile, and that's what I hate is when people try to dog pile. One person says something, another person likes to jump in. So what I tend to do is I say, okay, you can say whatever you want on someone else's post. I'm gonna shut the comments off. Eat a dick. But someone made a comment. Was like, well, why does her race have to be a thing about her name? Like, what does that even matter? It's like, because she's a black woman. She wants to represent that she's a black woman. Well, if it was a white woman, people would get mad about it. Maybe. I don't know. Go try it. Yeah. But get out of my face. Like, the thing is, people want to try to stir shit up. And then when you go look at those accounts that are doing all the barking, it is a locked account. So it's private. They have one follower, no post. Oh, so you have, and no picture, no profile picture. So it's a burner account. So, okay. So I don't need to pay you no mind. I had somebody get upset over some bullshit I put up the other day. Oh, I put up a Jesus post. I probably mentioned this last week too. They're like, oh, you can't make fun of somebody's religion. I'm unfollowing you. So fucking what? Go unfollow me. Like, why you gotta tell people? Oh, I'm gonna unfollow you. Well, you want to fucking get a fucking posse together to unfollow me? Fuck you.
Crazy. So the show I mentioned that I really liked, Beef.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it got like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. But now all of a sudden it's getting a bunch of protests because David Cho, who...
Sorry.
Oh, shit, this is tied?
That's the game. That's the final, doggy.
Oh, shit. Philly won. Oh, look at James Harden. He's Oh, she's
He
loving
said,
him.
I'm fucking her tonight.
Yeah, no, the way she's giggling, hell yeah.
Oh, this is great.
James Harden must have went off.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Because Embiid was up. Oh, look. Oh, Maxi's getting something.
Oh shit! Oh, look at this. Look at these guys out here taking all the white women.
Damn NBA players. Do you think the percentage of NBA players, the successful black ones, are with white wives? It's pretty high.
Yeah. Well,
LeBron
because
doesn't,
because
right?
LeBron's wife is black. But Kanye said it. He said, was it on fucking Gold Digger? You know, that like he called it out, and then I mean, shit, he called it out on himself too, because he owed Kim out child support now.
Oh,
18 years, 18 years. Although fucking those kids, there's no denying those are his kids. They got those fucking big ass Kanye chubby cheeks. But no. Go ahead. I'm sorry. We talk about beef.
Oh, so yeah. Now people are starting to protest because of David Cho. And
Yeah.
David Cho was the first podcast I ever got into. It was called DVD ASA. And it was him, and the DVD was for David, and ASA was for Asakura, who was a porn star. That shit went way off the rails in terms of politically correct. Like, I think he spoke quite, it was kind of like maybe the appeal a little bit, and I wouldn't say direct similarity to Andrew Tate, of him being kind of a nerd, and then like Asian stereotype is not especially in the 90s, it's not the type of dude that like the chicks were trying to go after. It's actually a little better now, I think, for them. But he took resentment to that, and then as he became a rich man and more confident, he started getting tons of girls, and he became addicted to it. And he admits that stuff. But on his podcast, like many podcasts, he over exaggerated some stories for entertainment, because it's just like comedians. People think that every story a comedian tells is an actual story, right, and 99% of them are made up stories.
Or those are their views as well.
Yeah. So I think, and I used to listen to his podcast. It was my favorite podcast back in the day. But he told some story. I think he was like overly aggressive with like a masseuse or something like that. So now like people are like, he's sexually assaulted. And I think the masseuse was like a black woman, and he's Korean. So something with that added to it. And he claims, like, I made up that story, to be honest. Like, it wasn't a real story. But part of his thing was just talking about, like, him growing up. He wasn't, in the power to, like, choose who he wants. He was, kind of, a nerd in a way of, like, he'd be like really crushed on a girl and they would give him no chance. So now he's kind of trying to play the role of like flipping the script. Like, now he's the dominant guy. And he's claimed that's not true. There's never been any charges, but people are protesting the hell out. Like anytime he does an artist thing, people are protesting it. Now people are protesting this show, and it's like,
yeah, I saw. All
right, let's freaking let it. If that did happen, there's no charges.
There's some things there too. So it's like, I mean, the key thing is, if this did happen, that person would have come forward and be like, "Hey, this did happen."
Especially with his money.
So number one, I mean, celebrity money. Period. I mean, he ain't the richest celebrity. I mean, there's all celebrities with a lot of money, so it's not even a matter of especially his money. I mean, there are a bunch of people with a bunch of money. And like I always say, if I won the lottery, I want people to sue me, because the idea is, oh, he's going to settle out of court. No, I won't. I can afford the lawyers. You can't. So I'm going to burn it to the ground because you're poor. I'm not. Watch, that's going to, at some point in my life, that will get fucking clipped somewhere. And they'll be like, oh my God, Dante's a dick. He's just an asshole. He's a privileged asshole. Fuck you. But the thing is, it's like, and I don't know the full story. Sarah mentioned it to me the other day, because we were talking about the show. And I was like, I would watch it, but it seems like something that is going to be too much of the same thing that I don't need 8 episodes for. Maybe I need 3 episodes, perhaps. I don't know. Or if it's a movie, I'm in. But 8 episodes, 10 episodes, whatever the number is like, I don't need it. But then she was like, well, they're 30 minutes long. I was like, even still, that's a bit more than what I need for the thing. But we were talking about watching it. And then she brought it up. And I was like, yeah, I've kind of heard some things, some rumblings. And the thing is, when things like this come up, I don't care. You know why I don't care? Is because I don't see anything like you hear one side. And then you hear him defend himself. You hear the cast defending him. And the thing is, this is episode 103. You know how many episodes I've said ridiculous shit on. You said ridiculous shit. We say ridiculous shit. He has a podcast. He had a podcast. He said ridiculous shit. And people are like clinging to it and married to it after the fucking fact.
Yeah, and his biggest influence, by the way, is Howard Stern show. He's trying to be a little bit edgy, you know?
Like, the thing that gets me with some shit like that is like, you want to come after this dude now. And this goes back to the Joe Rogan thing where they're like, oh, Joe Rogan said the N-word. I was like, yeah, he did. He did. But, and I'm not saying he's okay to say it. That's not what I'm getting here. Did you play the context of why, you know, when he was saying it? Like, and then also he came out and apologized for it. Like, and I have my issues with Joe Rogan. I listen to the podcast, but I do have some issues with Joe Rogan just because I feel like he kind of jumps on these bandwagons too. Surprisingly. But even still, like, he has some really good guests on that are worth listening to. But the thing is, people like to attack something because why? Because they're not doing well. And to take a quote from Joe Rogan, you know who's not talking shit? You know who's not trying to break people down and tear them down? Fucking winners aren't. It's always losers. It's always people who can get shit going on for them in life. You know? Now, if it's true, that's one thing. If there are charges, that's one thing. But by the sounds of it again, it was a made-up story. No one came forward, you know. And not only that, if he's talking about, like, yeah, there are a lot of stupid people that will, like, you know, confess their crimes on audio because they're fucking stupid. But this is something fucking heinous, especially in today's culture. So, you know, and I know it was, you know, said back whenever, but it's still that culture, like this has kind of been a lock solid culture for about, I want to say, close to 10 years now. And the thing is, it's like, you don't like the dude. Why don't you like the dude? Ask yourself that. And then if you're trying to tear him down because he's got the number one fucking movie on Netflix or the number one show on Netflix, it's like, why? Then ask yourself, why are you doing that?
You don't have to watch it, but don't try to keep everyone like protesting that shit. It's just weird to me because if you haven't been charged with crime, there's no one coming out saying it. He's telling a story, which if you ever listen to that podcast, it's clear he was trying to be edgy. But I also think what he was trying to do, and probably a lot of people will disagree with me, is I think he was trying to give the power to the outcast type people.
Well, no, in that regard, I definitely get that for sure. And that's just the thing, like you said, a lot of people may not agree with you. I mean, it's just the goofy thing too. It's like, agree or understand or whatever. It's like, look, at some point you're choosing not to understand. It's not even a matter of agreeing, because there are things I don't agree with, but I'll try to understand. I may not agree with it, but I'll try to understand you.
As far as I know, there's not one single charge he's against. So it's not like Antonio Brown where there's like freaking 500 different things.
Well, that's the thing. It's like when shit does come up, like, you know, we talk about Harvey Weinstein, you know, and that actually becomes another weird discussion too when it comes to celebrities and race. Because they're talking about Harvey Weinstein, and they're like, how come he's not in jail yet? How come he's not being charged? It's like, well, he hasn't gone to trial yet. You know, I don't know what the status is now, but at the time I saw these, it's like, you know, there's a court date, there's a trial date coming up. Like, trust me, there are enough witnesses to put this man away forever. So that's not the thing. You know, and then it's like the whole Bill Cosby thing. Well, it's outside of the statutes of limitation. And, you know, it's like, it's weird.
We do pick and choose, too. There are some celebrities that get away with everything.
You know, it's just weird because it's like, when it comes to the statutes of limitations, like, it's weird that crimes have an expiration date. You know, and I can go with the argument of, well, everybody back then were doing it. I agree with that. So it's like singling out Bill Cosby for it when meanwhile, you know, there are tons of other celebrities doing it is kind of fucked up.
It's like the Michael Jackson, R. Kelly. R. Kelly's looked at not too fond, but Michael Jackson still has some people like Yeah, that album was ridiculous.
Dude,
They don't want to believe it.
Thriller, dude. Thriller. I'm telling you, dude. When I sit back and listen
Chris
to Thriller,
Brown clearly beat up Rihanna, but he's still popular among the girls.
Brown, dude.
We saw Ray Rice. That's still my baby. Seen absolutely
And you know,
on camera.
you know what's funny about the
knocking
Ray
out
Rice
his
thing?
wife.
All the people that I heard saying that's still my baby were white women.
Yeah, it
That's
was.
what had me tripping. I was like, oh my
But-
god.
Let's not lie. There's Pickett, and I mean he's blackballed from the NFL. He never came back. He was on the decline. I'll say
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
but,
yeah.
he never got any chance back. But it was weird. Of like, if that was someone ugly and they did that, you
of
would hate
course.
them. Ray Rice was good looking.
Yeah,
as
he was a
hell.
good-looking fella.
There was a lot of women like, that's my baby.
It's all right. But
She
look,
probably deserved it.
look, I'm gonna be honest. There's some female celebrities I look and I was like, look, if she wants to stab me in the arm, it's okay. I'm okay.
Well, how
with
many? Yeah, there's not too many female celebrities who get
it.
canceled.
Like, I mean, shit. Like I was saying last week.
Is
Like,
there
look,
any? Roseanne got canceled for a few times. She spit on the anthem.
but
she
she's-
thought she was being funny there.
but she's a comedian. That like they do controversial shit, and not even necessarily like to be funny, but it's like they just do things out of being controversial. Period. So I don't even
Her
count.
last time she got canceled. What did she do?
So she made a
She got
comment.
canceled from her own show.
She made a comment about a politician, a black politician, and she called her a monkey, I think. And people went into this whole outrage about her being racist, which could be, And so I find something that's interesting about that too is like when something like that happens, the right will embrace them because they're like, well, come on over here, we love you.
Well, so I mean, is the right keeps complaining about cancel culture, but then they'll do the same shit, just in the opposite way.
Mm-hmm. So the funny thing about the right though, it's like you said, they complain about cancel culture, but they cancel
Bud
too.
Light. They canceled. The right's are the ones protesting Bud Light.
They canceled. They tried to cancel Nike, and it's like Nike's gonna be all right.
Yeah, have you
They're
seen
gonna be
their
fine.
shoes? Let's compete with Nike. Come on.
Well, then all these guys like burning their Nikes. It's like it's too late. You've already paid for
Nike
those.
will come out with a re-release of a shoe made 20 years ago with a new color scheme, and that shit will sell out in 10 minutes.
Yeah,
You're not gonna hurt Nike.
yeah. Like relax.
And it's well known Nike's probably made in sweatshops. No one cares because their shoes are tight.
So that's another
Which is
thing.
bad, but
That's another thing though too. When we start complaining about things, it's like
we also don't know. Like
so. It's like how far.
someone's telling us maybe it is.
So how far away from the horrible thing do you have to be for you to not care? So cell phones, this computer, all the fucking batteries
Yeah, Apple's
basically.
been rumored to have a lot of bad shit.
Oh yeah, yes. These motherfuckers be like they got nets around the fucking building, so motherfuckers can't fucking jump off anymore. The cobalt mines for the batteries.
Oh yeah, those look crazy. Oh, that's a lot of companies for those batteries. Tesla,
Exactly.
Well, I don't know if Tesla for sure, but
Yeah,
a
Tesla.
bunch of those companies that
Tesla,
need batteries. Was it
all the
in
cell
India?
phones.
Right? Something
I can't remember.
But it was like a mine. People working for like $1 a day.
If even that, that's on the high. So I mean, the thing is, it's like if you got people complaining about one thing or the other, but they're selective. They're selecting what they want to whine about. They're selective about what they want to stand up for, what they want to defend, and that's fine because if we really, really, really paid attention to every little thing, we would hate everything. So it's like you do have to kind of be selective, but at the same time too, it's like people want to get super vocal and loud about the dumbest things. It was like, okay, like the whole Me Too movement. Sure, that I get it for sure. Let me take that out. All right, sorry. Like, I just took out a whole big segment. So in case you guys are wondering, the part I say, oh, let me take that out. I left that part in so you guys will keep wondering. So let's go ahead and rate this beer. We're getting deep into the woods, and it's a good conversation. But we're getting deep into the woods. We still got a couple movies to get here.
Backwoods.
Oh yeah, Jerry Springer died. Rest in peace.
Did he?
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
And
how old? He's not that old.
79.
old.
So that's the thing. When you think about old people dying, what's your cutoff number of a good life?
Man, nowadays
like-
I feel like we're gonna live close to 100.
So
So I feel like 60s and 70s is young.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like if you get to 85, like yeah, you're good. You had a good run. So it's when I saw 79, I was heartbroken. I was like, damn, dude, you still had 6 years. But yeah, rest in peace, Jerry Springer. You know, it sucks, but again, he had a good run. I think wasn't he was like mayor of Cincinnati, I believe. He bought a prostitute. He used a check to pay for the prostitute, which is wild. It was like, yo, why are you cutting checks to prostitutes, yo? Like, you couldn't hit the ATM, something, cut a check, and then you got found out. Oh well. Let's go ahead and jump into this beer real quick.
All right. This one's
Nope.
Oh, nope.
Other
we did
one,
this
bottom.
Victory, seasonal fruitful, by Victory Brewing Company, Downingtown, Pennsylvania. It's American IPA and has notes of peach, apricot, and berry.
I don't know what the fuck that is.
I don't either, but
Get up on that mic.
it was a decent beer, so significantly less than our first two, 6.4.
It's not hateful.
But it's very different from the last beer. And that's
For
why I
sure.
didn't want to do the last beer after this.
Yeah.
Because this one had it is kind of fruity, but not overly fruity.
It's got personality for sure. I'm gonna give this one a 7, like a flat 7.
Okay, so I wrote 7.1, so I feel like that's
So yeah,
right on.
and I was leaning to the one. I was like,
And I wrote that a while ago. So.
it's that number though. The 6.4 is what brought it to the 7. If it was a little higher, if it was like 6.6,
That's what
6.8.
makes our podcast special. It's like 6.4. That sounds low.
Now, look, man, like I said at 100, yo, like
8.58%.
people-
6.4.
people talk about like, it's like, oh, you still doing your little podcast? Like, bitch, we on 100 plus episodes. First off, number one. Number two is like, again, it sounds like, yeah, we're just sitting here talking and bullshitting. Like today during the orientation, the lady was talking about basically they're trying to like get called back up and get people hired again because COVID broke them basically. And then she was like, basically, like, there's not people out there looking for these jobs anymore. People aren't trying to work. And, well, she didn't say that. She said, where's everyone? Where are all the people to hire? And I thought about it for a minute. And it's like, again, I hate when I hear people say people just don't want to work anymore. That shit drives me mad. It's not that people don't want to work, though. And when she asked, where's everyone? I started thinking, like, you know what it is people are finding other avenues of money that doesn't involve them having to sit in an office for 8 hours or do something for 8 hours, and even like when I talk about this podcast, I do a lot of work between the 3 podcasts. This one is probably the easiest one because it's record and go for this one. Off the mats, it's a lot because of finding guests and then actually having to edit. This one, there's very little editing, if any at all. Sometimes we just put the episode out and hope for the best.
That's why we get followers and unfollowers.
So and that's that. But I mentioned this on Nerd Rage though. It was like one of the things I picked up from Nerd Rage and I carried over to all the podcasts is we're authentically ourselves. We say what we say. We fuck up. Like we've had like discussions on here where I was clearly wrong and I kept arguing, and then when I was proven wrong, I was like, okay, like, all right, I was wrong. Move on. Like, and that's the thing. It's like you don't get enough people, doing shit like this where it's like they are true to the character. Well, when you do, you get people that are trying to be so wacky over the top and say, well, that's just my character. That's just my personality. And it's like, you're not like that all the time. I promise you. And then you get people that are trying to be too overproduced. It's like, just be yourself. Get on the fucking microphone and be yourself. It's like, I say dumb shit sometimes. That's just who I am. But that's me being a human. It's very rare that you catch me trying to like cover up.
I hope the cancel
What I
culture
say.
things changes to at least like you let that person learn.
So
Let's see what they do after, or let's judge them on their most recent activity, not what they did 10 years ago. Like that dude, the comedian. Like,
yeah,
I don't think there's a chance that dude was racist.
No, I mean
I
he
think
fucked
he's a funny dude, and I think literally he's like a lot of white people when they're younger.
up. Yeah,
They're singing along to a song, and we've I'm sure we've all heard some say it. And I told you that was a problem I had. Like
Yeah.
the first one of my first CDs was I think it was Naughty by Nature's second CD, the one
Yeah.
with Feel Me Flow. And I was shocked at how many times I sit down with it. And I was a little bit turned off by it because of that fact. It was like, I can't sing, it's every word, it's every line says it's saying that. And I felt like, to me personally, I was like, I still respect them. I love them. I love Naughty by Nature. And I think Tretch is one of the most underrated MCs of all time.
that's a fact.
For sure. It's because he's in a group, he's underrated.
Well, I think he's in a group, and then that group, like by the time, like they had their moment, and
They
then
had some poppy,
yeah, I think that's what it
poppy
was. It was
type
like
hits.
Poppy, and they had their moment,
and then he's in a group. He had a double whammy.
and
a little
then
bit.
everyone else was kind of blowing up after though, because after that, you had Wu-Tang taking off, and everybody going solo there. You had Nas picking up, Jay-Z came out, so it got weird after that, and then people forgot about fucking Naughty by Nature. People forgot about Trench. It was like, okay, well, whatever. But no, I agree. He's fucking underrated, and it's unfortunate because it's like you can go back and let people listen to it now, and people could be like, okay, give him his flowers. But the fact is, the moment's passed.
Yeah, he's not mentioned enough of like top MCs. You did a top 10, he should be tinkering around that area.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's if he's not in the top 10, he's on the cusp. He's up there. All right, let's do this beer. I jumped off topic again.
Oh,
Oh wait, we gave scores, didn't we?
oh shit, we finished it.
Never mind.
That
My
might be
bad.
the first review we did. We didn't remember we did it.
All right, let me look. Okay, so we got Jerry.
Wait, did we? Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
Did,
I gave
okay.
a 7. You gave a
7-1.
7-1. So
Damn.
all right.
I was even about to do this. I was about to do number 2
Like-
because I wrote it as number 3.
all right.
What
So
you think of this rum? You're still
So-
nursing it.
I'm not doing no more of that rum. It was good. It was good. It's got one of those feels to it where
It's fine.
don't do
It's
this.
Monday, but it's fine.
Don't do this. I got it fucking working. I
Yeah, you
poured
got to
way more than I should have poured
He
on
did,
accident.
but he only drank a quarter of it.
No, bullshit. What was it?
Bourbon quart.
So-
Well, we're gonna get done much earlier than usual.
We're teetering on it. We're getting close to it. We got to wrap up soon. We got some movies here. He as I say that he pours more.
I look what I poured though. That's still a third of what you accidentally poured.
He a dick. Every time I think I was watching some news thing. No. It was a training video today at work, and it was meant to be like kind of like a female and a male, and the male is like super enthusiastic, and the chick is like calm, and then like she said something to him, and it was kind of one of those like little sly like. Well, I thought it was funny. Like it always reminds me of the Chappelle Show skit where they're doing a race draft.
Oh yeah.
And Dave Chappelle is up there, and then the white guy says something, and like Dave was like, "Man, fuck you," and like it just kind of goes so like very nonchalant. But that's what I thought about with that video. So as I'm watching it and listening with my headphones in, I start laughing, like not like out loud, but I started laughing because I thought about that, and I almost like said, "Man, fuck you." I was like, "Damn, dude, I got to remember where I am. I gotta chill, man. I gotta get acclimated into like actual work environments again."
I'm myself at all times, but there's different personalities of who I'm with.
Yeah.
And people think, some people say I'm quiet. I'm like, I'm not quiet if I know you and I trust you. Not at all. But there's certain environments you're around where like, I know to tone it down.
Yeah.
And I also know like, there's no point of me engaging super hard. It's just not the right. You can tell it's not the right crowd. It's not the right mode. This isn't the right time.
I mean, and again, we all do it different. Because, like, for me, it's like, I'm going to go out there. And, like, if I'm feeling good, I'm going to go out there and be extroverted, even though I'm an introvert.
No, that's the thing. I think we're both introverts and extroverts.
Oh, for sure. Easily.
Different ways. Like, I have no problems with crowds. You don't like crowds. But
So
You like more. I think you like attention at times where I don't.
I actually don't. I don't at all. What it is like I'm nervous, so I'm doing
Well, I
things like
think you're more
big.
likely to share
Oh no, well I do
than I
that.
am.
I do that to fuck with people because I'll say shit and people wonder, is that true? I don't know. Is it? Like, what do you think I'm really gonna tell you about a time like I zipped my dick in my pants? Like
That
maybe.
shit sucks.
Yeah, I did. I zipped it in the fucking pajamas. It was a onesie.
Oh, you got a onesie?
Oh my god! That was
Yeah, I got.
when I was a kid, not a grown ass man.
Maya really wanted a onesie as a gift. I gave her a onesie, and I was like, "Yo, so when you got go to the
Yeah,
bathroom, you gotta
it's
take
gotta
that shit
come
all the way
all off,
off."
son.
And then when I see girls with the rompers, they gotta get freaking completely naked to
Dummies.
just pee.
And we let them drive. It's gonna come back to haunt me. All right.
Yep, don't
So,
become famous.
I
You
won't.
become in a movie to be like,
So
fuck
that-
that movie. Dante said this.
so that's the one thing about cancel culture I was gonna say is it only works if you care. Like if they come at you and you're like, oh, I'm
Well,
sorry.
I think sometimes the companies care because I
Well-
will say everyone on that beef show, I think they love David Cho,
Yeah.
but they're probably not thrilled about the publicity it's getting now.
Well, and that's the thing though too. It's like again, it only works if you care, but yeah, also your support. But even if like you're a part of a company,
I saw, not to cut you off, but Bobby Lee had something similar,
yeah, I saw
and
that,
he
too.
got tons of hate on this one post. What he did, he just turned the comments off.
Yeah. Yeah,
He
well,
addressed it. He was like, "I told this story years ago. This is what happened. This I over embellished on it. This is what really happened." And that's kind of the way you got to do it. Because I will say this: I know for a fact all the comments on this one post that were saying reference to whatever he said, they were robots. Because I started
yeah.
clicking on them. It was all like super hot chick profiles with not any followers.
Oh, did I show you the latest robot that messaged me? Their name is Donald. You should see their picture though. Beautiful woman.
Donald. But yeah, there's all type. I mean, it was just tons of hate he got. But everyone I clicked, it was clear it wasn't a real person. It'd be like no fault, like no pictures,
Yeah, yeah.
followers and followers and who they follow. And I was like,
So-
how do you not have any pictures if you're a real person?
Like the thing is like even if your company drops you, you still push on. Shane Gillis was on SNL. He got dropped. He kept pushing on. Like he's doing well for himself. That's the whole thing. It's like if you care, Louis C.K. We all know what happened with him. He got canceled. He kept pushing on. Made his own website. Said fuck it, and people stuck with him. And that's just the thing. It's like if you give a fuck and you let them rattle your cage and force you into an apology, Will Smith, then you know you lost. They win. So just fucking be you. So if I become famous, unlikely because fuck that. But if I become famous for something dumb and then they try to reference back to this, it's like, okay, oh well. But like also think about this. You decided to seek out all that content, listen through all of it. Why? Ask yourself that. Why are you going through all my shit just to find something wrong? Eat a fucking dick. All right, so movies. All right, so you want to go or you want me to
I'll
go?
go because it's not too long.
I don't know if mine are long, but yeah,
Always,
it's decent size.
always
She doesn't
be
hate it.
my maybe, and it was one of those
Rom-coms.
rom-com. Yeah, I don't even know that I liked rom-coms before, but I like this movie, and it's the second week of it's Ali Wong again. But I think she makes good movies. This was another.
I secretly like her a bunch. Like when I say like her,
She's-
like I want to
she's
make
a good
I want to make
actress.
babies with her. Because every time I would see her stand up, she was pregnant.
She
Every time she did a stand up special, she was pregnant,
wears
like
those,
big pregnant.
strange glasses, but it works for her.
I'm
It's
in.
like I feel like
I'm
it
in.
doesn't work for 90% of people, but it works for her.
But I don't like when she doesn't have those glasses on. She has to have
That's her
glasses on.
trademark.
Like if she doesn't have the glasses on, I'm not trying to hit.
I don't think I would even know it's her. Like that's her trademark.
She was in a show called Paper Girls on Amazon, and I knew right away it was her because of the glasses.
I think I've only seen. So I've seen her on podcasts. I've only seen the two movies now, or Beef and now this. she's freaking great actress. I say I like this more than most rom coms. It was a little bit of a sweet story at the end. Oh, I wanted to point out the kind of Keanu Reeves makes an appointment or appearance playing himself, but not himself. It's not his personality because he's playing an asshole.
He's
but
not doing
he's
any
playing a
different-
pretentious
yeah.
actor, and it was that part was kind of funny because at one point they're like at this pretentious restaurant, and it just makes me funny because I've talked about it. Of like we've talked about. If you're super rich, I feel like you get super bored because there's just like nothing you can do more with your money. Yo, this restaurant. So, first off, the proportions are portions. Did I say proportions? Was
Yes,
that
you
two
did.
words?
You
That's
said
like-
a few different things that I was just like, I'm gonna let it go.
So, super small. And what it was, so in this restaurant, you put on headphones. You can hear the animal you're eating before it dies. And I was
Okay,
like, yo, that
okay.
shit's funny as hell.
Okay, I'm in for that. This fucked
that
up,
shit-
but I'm in.
Yo, Keanu Reeves was listening. He started crying, but then he was
Oh.
crying, but then he's like,
No, I know the meme. I know that meme because we use
there's a
that
meme?
we use that meme a lot in the jiu-jitsu community. That shit is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I always wonder where it came from.
yo, he's listening to it and he starts crying, but then he cuts his meat and eats it. It's just funny.
I'm,
then
I'm actually in for that.
He talks mad shit to the one, like basically the love story interest boyfriend. And they fight. And he punches Keanu Reeves, and he's playing Keanu Reeves. So he's like, yo, I fucking punched Keanu Reeves. But I like Keanu Reeves because whenever I see him in an interview, he's one of the most down to earth. I mean, this dude is rich.
Did you send me the video? Who sent me the video? It might have been Mark. It was my teammate. He sent me the video of there's a fan that came up to him at a signing.
I think I might have because that came up recently.
No, it was Mark because me and him had a conversation. We were talking about him and Brook Shields. That's what I'll get to that.
Yeah,
in a
that
minute.
dude rides the subway in New York.
Yeah. But like he was like a little kid came up. He was super happy to see him, and then he goes, "Have you seen Toy Story 4?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "You know this character?" He's like, "Yeah." And he was like, "That's my favorite character." And then he does the voice, and I was like, "Yo, dude, I love that dude. Like
Yeah,
he's so
one
fucking
of the
cool."
nicest. So in this movie, he's playing like a complete ass.
Yeah.
While playing Keanu Reeves, but it's hilarious.
I think that's what makes it funny though, because most people know that's not him.
Yeah.
But to play the role of the
Yeah,
shit
for
actor.
a rom com, I very much enjoyed the movie. It was got a little sweet ending to it.
Oh, that's gay.
It is. But yeah, I mean, some rom com.
I
This wasn't.
I want to see
overly
chaos
cheesy.
at the end.
I mean, there was some chaos.
I want to
with
see.
Keanu
I want to
Reeves.
see dead bodies at the end of my rom coms.
No dead body. Beef. There was a lot of dead people.
Nice, but it's a rom com because I don't think it's a rom com, dude. It's not a rom com.
Sort of.
It's not. If you have to think, it's not a rom
I
com.
think it is.
It's not
Not comedy. All right.
It's
say
not-
rom-
it-
Wait, what's a
romantic.
non-comedy?
Romantic comedy is a
A
rom com.
rom drama.
A rom dram.
A rom.
A rom dram.
Yeah. So that was more of a rom.
There's romance in that, and in beef.
Sort of at the end. Yeah.
No. I mean the like
they realized that.
what
I
defines
don't
a rom com is the romance throughout the thing, not the conclusion. It has to be a romantic thing that's going on, and then wackiness ensues around it. So I don't think anyone's trying to
it's
fuck
a
in the
gray
beginning.
line.
Were they trying to fuck in the beginning?
No, they fucking road rage.
Exactly.
It might
Now
be
if it
Dante.
wraps up at the end, then I told you at that time. You might have been with me. We were going to a Ravens game, and there's a 4-way stop, and I had the right of way. I went to turn. The dude honked at me, and I was waving to him to come on. Let's go. He followed me. I was like, oh. And I took off my seatbelt. I was ready to go, and then he hit a U-turn and left. Now I saw that there was a kid in his car. I don't think there was anything about like, no, I don't want to, fight this dude. I think he was down for the fight. But I think what it was, this kid was in the car, and it's like, what kind of fucking example am I? So, good for him. I didn't have a kid, so I was down for the battle. Like now, I'm not down for the battle. When my kid's in the car,
Say we're allowed to change.
my objective is to protect that child in the car. But back then, I was down. I followed
Man,
people.
that video. Did you post it on Colompton? That shit stressed me out.
Which one?
The girl running over the other car in the friggin' gas station.
Probably.
God damn, that shit was rough.
It was great.
The one dude's like trying to stop her, and he gets freaking ragdolled.
So that fucked with me for a minute. But
then she flipped over.
That was the payoff.
Later.
That was the payoff.
Yo, but then she comes out the car completely fine, just still like, what the fuck y'all want? Like that whole scene is crazy. And if I was there, I'd be like, yo, she can't die. She's immortal.
He was like, yo, we are in a fucking simulation.
She's immortal.
Like, that is Mr. Smith.
Yeah, she was missing her shoes. She didn't care.
Yo, she was down. Oh, Miller Lite commercials. What's up, son? It's Miller time. Now it's Popeyes.
Oh, Miller Lite should go the opposite direction.
So yeah, this sounds like something I would actually check out only because of the Keanu Reeves stuff.
It's funny,
like,
and make fun of like pretentious culture a little bit of like the restaurant. The one down to earth dude, he's like in a hip hop band, but he has no aspirations for doing anything but local, and he's just like,
love
what
to
the
hear
fuck
it.
is this shit kind of fool? Like, what?
Love it.
Nah, this shit's not good. And then at the end, I don't want to spoil it in case you do watch it, but she does something really sweet for him.
Gives him head. That's cool. Love it. Love to
But
hear
no,
it.
they were like childhood best friends, but clearly there was something more.
Yeah.
Something happened where they kind of separated. She becomes like super. It's like her aspirations are much higher than him, but he likes the community he lived in, and it's a good balance. I like the story. It's better than a typical rom-com.
No, nothing
You
wrong
know
with
what
that.
I mean?
I enjoy it. I enjoy the idea of it. I might check that out. Where was it at?
I think it was Netflix.
Of course.
Which Ali Wong's blowing up, so they're probably like, let's put out all her movies.
Yeah, I'm sure her comedy specials
Which
are there.
she's great.
Because I watched her comedy specials, I'm pretty sure, on Netflix. And every time I saw her do a comedy special, she was pregnant. And I was like, damn, girl, like, chill. Like, I want to go to her husband, like, yo, stay off of her. Like, yo, use the same soap, she gets pregnant. Fucking relax.
The dude from Lost starts out as her boyfriend. What's his name?
I mean, there was 14 people on
The
Lost.
Asian dude.
Son. Or
Yeah.
Jin.
Jin. Because, when you hear him speak in real life, I don't think that I've heard anyone speak better than that dude.
He was in Spider-Man 2.
I didn't know that.
Well,
I didn't realize that.
he had a very small role. But he did have a speaking role, and it was wild to hear him speak. And it's
Yeah,
like,
because he didn't speak in Lost and all. And when you hear him speak, he speaks.
so on Lost, he actually had to go and relearn Korean to play the role. Which I love that show. I'm like, I want to go back and watch it, but it's such an endeavor. But it's so good.
He's just at the beginning. It's like he's the initial boyfriend. But when that dude speaks, he speaks so incredibly well. Like it's like a distinguished play person, you know? Like he speaks.
Yeah, he's probably
he speaks too well.
He's probably like one of those like super trained actors from Juilliard.
Yeah, that's what I imagine. And then he's like super like chiseled.
But those are the ones that are super pretentious. It's like, I studied acting at Juilliard.
I heard him on a podcast, and he sounds incredibly pretentious. His voice, but he's one of those dudes that's like super down to earth. He doesn't give a fuck what you do. Like I think he's the type that likes if you're not politically correct. That's his type of person. But he sounds like a cool guy.
But the thing is, you have to hear him on more than just one podcast. Because sometimes I feel like you'll hear someone on a podcast and they're still playing that act because they know they're on a podcast. But if you get them on the right podcast, like get them on Colompton, let's see what he's really about.
I think he would be cool on Colompton.
I think, well, that's the test. Get him on Colompton.
Let's get him on Colompton.
Let's put it. I will.
I'm not sure his name, but
I will. Dude, I got WWE wrestlers like following me, like, and like messaging, and like we're going back and I'm like, oh my God, like, who am I? So
yeah, I had 2 likes by DJ Lethal. I was kind of like, oh, I'm making a beat. What?
Hey,
you want to make our beat?
hey, all it takes is
I know he has tons of beats he never used.
Fucking
throwaway beats.
Violent J from Insane Clown Posse followed me on So You Like Horror. I told you that. It's like, and it's not just like a follow, but he's liking content. I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't like you, but that's cool. You know, MVP from WWF or WWE. He's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. He just, not this year, but last year or 2 years ago, he won a world champion worlds. He got gold. And he started following me from there. And we were like, he doesn't like hold conversations, but he'll respond. If you message him, he'll respond. Not like a deep talk, but like he'll at least give you like an answer. And then Karrion Kross, who's another WWE star, just started following me this week, and has been like he went through and like spam liked a bunch of stuff. I was like, all right, you on it, dude. Um, but yeah, so I watched. I told you last week I got the movie Red State. Shout out to Neps for pointing that out to me. Then I found it on streaming. So, but I still own it though. So that was the key. I watched it, dude. That movie holds up. It came out what in 2009, I believe, 2010. I think it was filmed in 2009. It came out in 2010 or 11. Basically what the movie is about. It's so you're familiar with, or probably not, Fred Phelps of the Westboro Baptist Church. No. Like no, that's a big name though
right.
in like the culture. Period. Not just like the church going culture. So Westboro Baptist Church, they were like going to like funerals of soldiers and protesting and holding up signs that said, dropping the F-bomb at soldiers, saying, oh, he's burning in hell right now because he's a homo. They're like wild as fuck. The Westboro Baptist Church. So Red State, it's kind of inspired by Westboro Baptist Church to some degree, like the cultism of it. Now in the movie, you get, and it kind of all takes place in like a day. The film, John Goodman's in it, which I love it. Like John Goodman in anything, I'm there. I'm a fan. But he plays a DEA agent, or is it ATF? ATF. He's ATF, and there's basically how it kicks off is they're a trio of boys. They pick up an ad in Craigslist, and they're like, oh shit, there's this chick, she's down to fuck. She's down to fuck all three of us. Let's go. So they go to this lady's trailer. She gives them some beers. They're ready to fuck. And they all pass out. She roofied them. Then it turns out they've been picked up by this church. And they're calling them sinners, and then they're calling them all these monsters. Are like, and one guy's like, I'm not even gay. And the guy was like, yeah, but you're willing to have sex with a woman with your buddies right there. Genitals touching and everything. Shit like that. It's like so far off the rails with that kind of shit. But the way that it differs from West Baptist, the Westboro Baptist Church, as far as we know, they don't have a fucking arsenal of guns. Like in the movie, that's what it was. So it's kind of a combination of the Westboro Baptist Church and David Koresh from the Wacko and Waco, that shit that took place. That kind of led up to the Oklahoma City bombing as well. A lot of wild shit back in 95, 94, 95. But basically, an officer hears some shit going off, and I skipped why there's an officer there in the first place, but that is majorly important. But ultimately, the sheriff hears what happens because they get on the walkie, and he calls ATF, and then it becomes a standoff basically. And John Goodman's basically told, because it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, and he say to John Goodman, was like, "Oh, so is there any media around? Like, what's the nearest town? Oh, it's that far away. So we want you to do us a favor. Go ahead and destroy them all. Wipe them out and be done with it." Spoiler alert, he does not do that. But the story does kind of, there's a reasoning to it that makes no sense that John Goodman tells a story. But it's one of those movies that, like, when you look at the, like, craziness of that church / cult, and like when you start thinking about that far right, like the QAnon type thinkers, and then you look at this movie and it's like, oh my god, this is like right up that alley, where you're like, oh, you're all sinners, you're all gonna burn in hell. And then what kind of topped it all off is the leader of the church. He comes walking out, and he's in John Goodman's face, like arms open, like, come on, let's go. And then it cuts to the scene where he's being interviewed by his bosses. He was like, so what, like, how'd you extinguish it? He was like, well, I headbutted him. I wish they would have showed that. They didn't. But what happened was, what led to even that, there's this horn, and they kept saying, oh, it's Gabriel's trumpet. Like, it's the rapture. It's here. And that's when he walks out and he's like, come on, come on. It's about to happen. The earth's about to fucking burn. And then that's when he gets headbutted. And then, he's being interviewed, John Goodman. And, as he's leaving, I was like, so did you ever find out what the horns were? He goes, yeah, actually, there's a bunch of hippies that bought a piece of land nearby. They never made any trouble with them, but the church made trouble with, at them personally. So fire department was selling one of their horns or whatever the fuck. So they bought the horn, plugged it up to an iPod, and it just happened at that moment. They decided to play the sound, and that's what kind of stopped the fucking shooting and everything. He was like, oh, okay, cool. He was like, yeah, it turns out they were growing a bunch of weed down there. But we figure they did us a solid, so we're just going to look the other way. They're like, good idea. And then it just kind of, and then they show the church dude, he's in jail. Because they're like, you should have killed him. Why didn't you follow the order? And, he tells this goofy story. And at the end, it was like, basically, people do the craziest thing if they believe enough. And you hear the pastor, he's in solitary. And then he starts like preaching really loud. And then you hear somebody say, shut up. And then the movie just ends there. But I don't know. I love that movie. It fucking still holds up. It's one of those movies where it's like, when I like a movie, I don't like to watch a lot because I'll sit there and nitpick it. But this is one where it's like, I could watch this a couple more times and still really enjoy it. And another thing is, it's a Kevin Smith movie. And he's known for his dick and fart joke movies. Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Dogma, Jane Silent Bob, all that shit. Jersey Girl, the best one ever. That was fucking terrible, Jersey Girl. But this is easily his best movie, without a doubt. And it had limited release. There's like a lot of, like, I think like he couldn't get funding for it or anything because everybody expected comedy out of him. And he wanted to do this, and he hails it as a horror movie. And this is where the discussion about horror always comes up. And I could still say, yes, it is kind of in that pocket because horror it's something scary to someone. So it all varies. So it falls in that pocket. And then I started watching this thing called Pretty Baby. And it's about Brook Shields. She was in the movie Pretty Baby. Probably don't know a bunch about it, but I remember growing up hearing a lot of controversy about Pretty Baby.
I remember hearing controversy of like she was like underage and some
very much
nudity.
All of her movies when she was younger, she was underage and there's nudity in all of it. Pretty Baby, she was 12. Blue Lagoon, she was 15.
Blue Lagoon, I think, was the famous one.
Endless Love, she was 16. And all of her co-stars. So Blue Lagoon co-star wasn't that much older than her. Pretty Baby was by design because she lived in a brothel. Endless Love, she was 16. I think the co-star was in his 20s. So, and it, basically what the documentary kind of goes over is just really the controversy behind that. She was doing a lot of Calvin Klein commercials, and she listening to her, she's such a sweet person. And she was like, I honestly didn't see the sexualization of it. And maybe I'm naive, I don't know. But I just looked at it as a job. She's been famous since she was a baby. So all of this was just work to her. She didn't think anything of it. And just watching that and like kind of thinking about cancel culture and marrying today's standards to yesterday's like art, for lack of a better term. Sarah was, as we were watching, Sarah's getting upset. I was like, you have to also think too, back in the 70s, they weren't really like there was no codes, there were no laws. Like I'm doing so like horror right now on the 60s, 70s, and all that stuff, and I'm going into like how the codes and everything for the movie ratings. I can't remember. There was some movie in the 50s that was rated X. By today's standards, that's barely PG-13. But yesterday's movies held to today's standards, far different world. But everyone's kind of coming down on Brook Shields and her mom about this. No one's fucking with the directors about it. The director of Pretty Baby, he was a French director. He wanted to make it big in America. He finally got his chance to make a movie. And everybody's like talking about Brook Shields' mom. Was like, well, why would you let your daughter do this kind of movie? And I think to her, she was there on set as the mom, and she didn't, nothing inappropriate happened. So she was like, it was fine, Her only complaint was they had her working 14-hour days, and she didn't get enough time for tutoring. But it was like, okay, it was fine. Nothing inappropriate was happening. I was there on set. I saw that nothing happened. So, what the fuck's your problem? But then the thing is like, well, why aren't y'all getting on the director? He's the fucking guy making the movie. He's the one who cast the fucking 12-year-old. Same thing for Blue Lagoon. Same thing for Endless Love. It's like, why aren't y'all fucking coming down on these dudes? Fawning over this fucking teenage girl. Don't get me wrong. She was a beautiful, like, teenager, like, beautiful person, period. Beautiful woman. Like, seeing her in the 80s, despite her fucking goofy hair, the 80s hair, the big hair, that shit was trash, But she was a beautiful, beautiful woman. And even still looking at her now in the documentary, it's like, yeah, she's aged, she's in her 50s, but she still is pretty. She still looks good. And I was like, oh my God, like, but then even like listen to her, it's like, I don't even look at her like in a sexual way. I was like, I would want to be friends with her. She just seems like, super supportive person, and she, she's got your back. So, there was 2 parts to it. I only watched the first part because I felt like they said all they needed to say in the first one. So it's like, why do I need to watch that second hour? I don't know. Maybe there's more to it. Maybe she was fucking Michael Jordan. I don't know. They dated for a minute. I think they went to an award show. So I don't know if they were really dating necessarily, but she was one of the most recognizable faces. Because that's one thing they were talking about. Like in the 80s, there were only 10 celebrities you could really say that were like recognizable. Like now there are millions that we don't even know who the fuck some of these people are, but they'll end up at a basketball game at halftime. Like, oh, YouTube sensation. I'm like, who? So, but yeah, all in all, Red State, fun movie. Kind of scary in that weird, twisted way. The Pretty Baby documentary, it's interesting just kind of thinking about all that shit with Brook Shields. And, again, a big part of it is like she didn't see it that way. Oh, and also she went to Princeton. So everybody looked at her like, oh, this pretty face. And they were like, oh my God, she's smart too? Like, what the fuck? And one of the things that she learned at Princeton, one of her professors asked, she was writing a paper, and she was like, well, did you cite your sources? And I was like, well, it was kind of my opinion. And I was like, then fucking stand up for that. That's your opinion. You have a right. You deserve to have a voice. She was like, that's where I started realizing I do have a voice. I do have an opinion. Because most times it's just like she's on the movie set. It was like, okay, she does a role, and it's just she does a role. She doesn't have any input, which I think is kind of a good thing to some degree, because you got a lot of actors that are like, who the fuck was it? I can't even remember now. But there's a bunch of them, though, that are always like trying to just change so much on the script. Oh, Ed Norton. Fucking Rock. Columbia, fucking cocksucker.
Wild Lake. That's why.
Fuck that school.
Mills represents.
Yeah, what's up, OM son? No place like home, bitches.
Although I find like people like be like, oh, I'm representing. I was like, I just had to go there. I didn't
really fucking. I don't give a fuck. Although I fucks with those colors, and I do like Scorpions.
No, they had the best. So. They had
easily the best.
Yeah, how there's no professional Scorpion?
Yeah.
Someone's lacking on it. Yo, whoever's the new owner of Washington, Scorpion's tight.
Yeah, son.
Bengals stole the orange and black. Cleveland.
Yeah, but they're not even doing it right.
Can the Scorpion be a different color? Maybe red.
But we can do red and black. Yeah, red and black would be
red
tight.
And black's always a good
color. But I feel like red and black is kind of almost like expected, and it's tricky to pull it off.
But it's really just the Falcons.
Hey, but the Defenders. The DC Defenders is...
Yeah, the Defenders is a way better name.
And they go into the championship game.
Although I do wish, if we're going to stay Commanders, let's fucking just go in camo.
Do it.
We the one team with camo.
Let's do it.
We do a black camo and a...
let's put in a counter offer.
Let's name the team Colompton.
Like, no, I'm serious. Let's put
the Colompton Mafia.
Let's put in an offer and tell them like, yo, we want to buy this.
We'll be the most un-PC team. Like,
oh my God,
they're called the Mafia.
Dude, they would kick us out of the league immediately. We wouldn't be allowed to buy this.
Our logo would be a dude smoking a cigar.
like we'd get kicked out immediately. Oh no, the Public Enemy logo. Immediately banned. They were like, nope, you're out. Oh my God, halftime show be the Black Panther Party.
Yo, I saw some documentary on. I feel like it was ESPN. It wasn't supposed to be playing, but it was like on the Wu-Tang secret album. that they made.
Yeah.
That's like released in like the library and somewhere in Europe, and it's like
So,
one copy, and
well,
some rich dude bought it.
Yeah, that the pharmaceutical cocksucker
Yeah.
who raised that price on all the
It was
drugs.
a wild ass
He
story.
he bought it and then he went to prison, and since he went to prison, the CD got seized. So fuck him.
But yeah, it was kind of wild. Like Wu Tang did this little, and it was crazy. It was like all these different boxes to get to it. It's like,
As it
yo,
should
they were
be.
ahead of their time. Like they probably didn't make too much money off of it, but that shit was time to tell you.
No, I think that, well, I mean,
it sold for like $1 million.
yeah.
something.
So I mean, they made a bunch of money, but yeah, in comparison to what they could have made selling the album.
And then did it ever get leaked? The song?
No.
That shit's wild.
Yeah. So and that was kind of the whole point that they made was like, music used to be art, and it used to be something special. And now, you just drop your album on SoundCloud. Everybody's got it. It's not special anymore. And I feel
Yeah, 'cause now I think artists nowadays you got to make your money on merchandise like T-shirts and then your album. I mean not album, touring.
Yeah. So yeah, he wild. Fuck him. All right, so let's get to the 13 questions real quick. We went over the time. My bad.
Oh shit, we're way over. Let's go these 13 questions and we'll get out of here. I messaged DJ Lethal, by the way. I was like, you trying to be our first kiss?
Yeah, get him, son. And I'm gonna reach out to Keanu Reeves.
That'd be awesome. We're back to back.
I feel like Keanu Reeves would do it though.
That's how I feel like if he sees it, I think he'll do it.
Yeah.
Now, how many messages you get? Probably a lot. Because I see one message.
So
he liked the post, but I see he didn't see it.
So what's wild about it though is like with BJJ Wiki, I get a lot of messages and I go back and respond to them, and people are like, "Dude, I can't believe you respond." I was like, "Dude, I'm just a guy." Like I'm sitting here in my bed right now in my fucking Marvel Comics pajamas. Like why wouldn't I answer you? I'm no one special. I'm no fucking messiah. So fuck off, bitch.
All right. Here's our 13 questions.
All right, let's go.
Have you ever counted your steps while walking?
Yes.
Yeah, I have. Do you believe in heaven?
So go back to episode 2, losing our religion, and you'll get my answer.
Yeah. I don't know. Heaven. Maybe there's some kind of
Yeah, there might be like.
transfer.
Have you watched Black Panther? I'm with the ancestors.
What would you name your yacht if you had one?
Ooh, I don't know, because that could fall into 2 categories. I could be serious and name it after my daughter because I love my daughter. I can name it after my wife. I do love my wife as much as I talk about her. I do love her. Or I can name it after.
I feel like you're just setting up what you're really going to name after.
Or I can name it after a comic book character, which I love, the Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch is a good name.
I know, right? I'll be running. It'll be red. Yeah. Oh, or a red yacht called Scarlet Witch. Oh my God, I'd be a nightmare.
I'm gonna just say Thor Bentley. It sounds pretentious.
T Bentley, dude.
Yeah.
Just do T. Either do Thor B or T Bentley.
How could you politely end a conversation with a person who's so annoying? I feel like you gotta
how do you end it?
Yeah, I feel like you don't say too much, because if you engage, it's gonna go further.
Okay, so I've been in this situation a few times, and I've ended them 3 different ways. The first way with this individual, I was very subtle, and I just kind of walked off. Like, I told him, like, okay, well, look, I'm gonna head over here. I gotta go grab this. Just left, and that was one. The other way, I was very direct, not like a dick about it, but I was like, yeah, I think I'm done here, so I'm gonna go ahead and head out. And then the other way is just like outright just leave. I didn't say nothing. I just looked and was like,
Yeah, I think
mm-hmm.
my way when I can tell is not something I want to engage with, but I'm trying to be polite. As I try to wait for a point.
Polite.
I'm not gonna ask anything to engage it, and then I'm just gonna be like, all right, oh, cool, yeah, I gotta go. It was good seeing you. Peace out.
Like the meetings at work when they're like, okay, does anybody have any questions? You're looking around like, don't say shit. There's always one, dude.
All right, What is your favorite viral video? There's
Viral video?
A lot of little twerk ones.
Yeah, well, dude, I love me some twerk. But yo, I'm telling you, those Bugs Bunny videos where the chicks be, kicking their ass up in the air, or the demon pose.
Yeah, there's a ton of.
But those are just trends. As far as like an actual video, I don't know that I have a favorite viral video.
So I think I have a bunch, but one that stands up is this freaking. Damn, what is it? It's not a guinea pig. Ferret. And this ferret tries. It's in the room. He's filming his ferret. He kind of runs in a circle. He's on the bed, and then he gets to the edge of the bed, and he's trying to jump to the window, and he's just like.
I
Then
know
when he
what
jumps,
you're talking about.
that shit jump. His feet slip. He jumps like 1 inch.
Oh no!
Yo, but he's so confident he's gonna make it, and that shit. And the way the dude laughs is my exact laugh on something that funny. Because that ferret comes nowhere close to making that jump.
A friend of mine has been sending me videos of cats freaking out in rooms and just destroying shit. Like cats and cucumbers is a video.
That
in
one
itself,
is wild.
bro.
I have seen those. Cats in general, like they're fucking just like mischievous. Like they just be chilling. They just be knocking shit off the wall.
Like a cat will look you dead
so-
in the eye and just push something
They
off
like-
a shelf.
What?
Or no, okay, so I got my laptop right here. A cat will just come up, just sit right on the laptop in front, like, yeah, mine.
Yeah, they got some funny ass personality.
You know what though? Cats be tasting good when I want a General Tso's chicken.
What is your weirdest superstition you've ever heard?
That I've ever heard or that I have?
It says heard.
The Bible.
I remember.
Easter.
Oh, I mean, my girlfriend, if you touch her nose like this, she believes it pushes it in. Then she goes like,
Jesus
she has to
fucking
do this
Christ.
weird thing where she pulls it back out. That's pretty funny.
Why would you tell me that? I cannot look at her the same now.
So I know you touching her nose might be weird. Just you could do the head one. If you tap her head, she believes she got shorter. So you can do that one.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Why would you?
She'll do a whole routine.
I can't. Does she send these questions in?
Yeah,
I can't
Filipinos
respect.
are
I can't respect
superstitious.
her questions. I get it, but I don't need to know the levels of it,
But
and
yeah,
I'm just
picture
that's
it.
wild.
So I'll do that to her every once in a while in public. She's like, doop, and then doop, and she's got to do her whole routine.
That's
Because
Oh
she
my
believes
God.
she's gotten shorter and her nose is getting shorter.
I'm at a loss for words.
I'm probably going to get locked out in the room.
The next time I see her,
I'll be able to tell if we heard the episode or not.
I'm gonna walk over to her, just pat her on the head, like, "Hey, man, how's it going?"
Yeah, I'll be able to tell this week if she listens. What has been your hardest goodbye in life so far?
I mean, I've lost friends who have died, and like, it's not the matter of like, it's kind of the lack of a goodbye for me. Like when I talked to Charles, the night before he passed, or the night that he passed, it was just like kind of a regular, like, I'll see you tomorrow. So it's tough looking back on that and not, knowing what I know now, and not being able to like, hug him or tell him like, look, man, I love you. Mario was in the hospital. He got into a car accident. I remember when I told him, like, because we could only go in one at a time. It was weird. I didn't know what to say, but I told him, I was like, look, man, you're gonna get through this, man. I love you, and I'm gonna see you next week. Knowing that he was going into surgery and the chances weren't high for him. So between those two, probably the toughest goodbyes or lack thereof. Otherwise, everybody else, fuck y'all.
I feel like the goodbyes I've had were like sort of expected, so I don't know that I had a hard one. They're all not great.
Well, I think also like if someone you're not going to see them ever again type deal, or they're going on a like journey that
Yeah, something's about to happen.
And the thing is too, I know when like anyone comes over, you, Maryland, Phil, anyone comes over, I know when y'all leave, I always say drive safe, because then like, I do mean that. I'm like, yo, be safe, because it's a wild world. And I said this when we worked at a job together, and I can't remember which Beastie Boy died. But you had told me, I was like, damn, dude.
MCA.
And I was like, yo, we're at that age where our childhood heroes are going to start dying. Also, kind of in that same pocket, though, we're at the age where we're going to start losing friends. So I always feel like it's important to, make sure, we say proper goodbyes or proper I love you or be careful, drive safe, shit like that, because we don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
It's so hard to say goodbye.
To yesterday.
Y'all should hear us like link up in a melody. My idea one time was to be tipsy and us have to sing karaoke, but I get to choose your song, you get to choose my song.
Eh.
What are your phobias? Mine's roller coasters, but otherwise, I don't have a big fear. I mean, there's small fears.
Yeah, I mean, I have this fear of dying alone. Like just being, like those cantankerous old fucks that are mean to everyone and they're just left alone. So I try to be nice to everyone because I don't want to be that guy that's like, yeah, fuck that guy. Oh, he's sitting in a senior center by himself. Fuck him. So that's one of my big fears, just dying alone. And yeah, fuck roller coasters.
In your own opinion, how smart are you? Should we rate that a 110 or something?
I mean, out of 10? Yeah, I guess we could do it out of 10. I'm smarter than your average bear for sure. I don't, I worked, well, we were like at one of the places we worked, there's a girl who's always like, oh, girls are smarter than boys. I remember saying to her, I was like, oh, you took the test too? And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, oh, yeah, because, there's a test that says girls are smarter than boys. Meanwhile, and I started listing off all this shit. But then, like, I started to show off with Hetty Lamar invented Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So, I mean, I guess girls are kind of smart, but not smarter than boys. I would say 1 through 10, I would put myself somewhere in that 6 to 7 range. Because I don't think I'm the smartest person, but I'm for sure not a fucking dummy.
So I think I'm very good at
Yeah, I guess it
figuring
also
out stuff. Like when I need to, taught myself a bunch mathematical and like actual factual type stuff.
But you never taught yourself how to talk on the mic.
But book smart, like facts about history, not good at.
So and that's the thing. I think like we're kind of opposite on that. Where I've taught myself a bunch of stuff, but it's been a challenge where it's like I don't want to do it. But when it comes to like history, like book smart stuff, there's a lot of stuff that it is more so like stuff that you like. You're not going to retain shit that you don't care about.
Yeah, I'm better at solving a problem than I am like retaining factual information.
Yeah, I mean it's the public school system. They forced me. They made me to say, hey, remember these things for this test. That's why I'm good at taking tests, though. Like, even if I don't know what the content is, I can give you the answer. Oh, shit. Yeah, we got the hospital's right around the corner, dude.
In your own... Oh, we did that. What will be your reaction if you see a ghost? I'm trying to think if I really saw a ghost.
Yeah,
I'd be a little freaked out.
Yeah, I'd be like, yo.
And it really depends where I'm seeing him. Because if he's in my room when I'm laying in bed, I'm going to be mad.
Well, yeah, I think in my mind it's like kind of a like, nope.
Like, yo, what are you doing in my room?
And yeah, like mine is like, nope, and then I'm gone.
If I'm like in a place where there's spirits, I feel like I'll be more receptive in terms of being like, hey, what's up, man?
I feel like my reaction to seeing a ghost is just like, I don't know, man. It's hard to say because do I believe? I don't know. It's like John Cusack said in room 1408. It's not that I don't believe him. It's not that I don't believe him. It's just that I haven't seen one. So it's a hard answer to give.
Yeah, that's my thing is I've heard a lot of people talk about spirits and stuff, but I'm like, do you believe in that? I was like, well, I haven't seen one personally. Yeah. So as of right now, I don't. I'm not saying there can't be one, but I haven't seen one, so no.
Yeah. And that's our final answer.
What is your favorite move when you were a kid? Oh, I would just mention. I mentioned that today. Our game we used to play. If we were on the same team, we busted a move. And Bear was like, "I know you can dance." And I was like, I can.
Oh, move like
I
dance
don't
move.
like the dance.
Yeah,
but
I
can.
yeah, I
Oh,
can't.
I can bust it out. I can do the floss. My age, I mean, I guess.
So Sophie asked me yesterday, like, Dad, can you floss? And I was like, no, baby. And then she started trying to do it, and she's like so uncoordinated. I was like, oh
Yeah,
my
I busted
God.
out the floss to Bea the other day, actually. And I was like, she's like, how? And then she tried to do it. And I was like, nah.
No, it takes
If you don't
coordination.
get it, if you don't get it, you're not gonna be able to do it.
There's
You gotta
coordination to
yeah.
that you have to have. And I'm looking at Sophie do it, and like she's kind of got it, but she kind of doesn't. And I was looking, I was like, I definitely don't have that coordination to do it. I'd have to like, it's like rubbing your stomach and patting your head. You have to practice doing it.
Brett will joke that I can dance, but I've never had the desire to dance. But I have good coordination, so it's like if I tried to do something, I could probably learn it. But I never just had the desire to really.
I don't.
Dance.
Were you at the bar? I don't think you were there. There's this lesbian trying to teach me how to dance because she wanted me to come out and dance, and I was like, I don't want to. And she was like, come on, come on, come on. And she took me out there. She's like trying to show me. I was like, I know how to do it. I just don't want to. Like,
yeah, that's the thing. I was like, I don't want to, but a few times I've tried.
I think it's a matter of also like just feeling the music.
Oh yeah,
and moving.
You gotta
with
be able to hear the music.
Yeah, you got to be able to
Dance
feel
to
that
the
rhythm and go.
Which my type of people aren't always the best at, but
surprisingly,
I mean, we got that square dance.
Gross river dance.
My brother's a master river dancer.
Of course he is. He looks it. There was a video. I don't know if I sent it to you where it was talking about like it was like the question of myth busting. Are black people better at dancing? And the woman had kind of a very valid answer for it. And it was like black people aren't any better or any worse. It's just a matter of like when you're in the womb, if your mom listens to a lot of music and she's kind of like grooving to it, that's going to carry over. And I was like, that makes a little bit of sense there because Sarah did not.
All right, so we don't have a favorite dance move. If you could, should we say lap dance? That's good.
Fucking right, doggy. Receiving.
I still remember an old friend of where we worked that passed away. I believe what was the situation? I think he was asked to dance. He said, the only dancing I do is I sit in the chair and you dance. And that shit was hilarious.
I miss that dude.
If you could make one word famous, I already know what you could say. What would it be?
Wait, what's that?
If you make one word famous. It's already famous, but I know a word you say a lot.
I mean, that's a hard one because, like, make a word famous. I mean,
so yeah, let's see if you could make your own word famous.
Like, I mean, let's say cunt a lot. I would just make that more acceptable. Well, actually, no, because I like saying cunt, and it really shocking the crowd.
Yeah, because then what if you got a favorite word? You don't want everyone else using that shit.
Yeah.
That's your word.
Yeah, like I already got somebody that always tries to say cunt is their favorite word. And it's like, it's not your favorite word. How many times have you used that word? I use that word at least twice a week.
Use cunt.
I say cunt twice a week at least. And that's out loud. Like in my head, it's a solid double digit easily. It's just because it's a crowd stopper. When you say cunt, people stop. They might want to hit you, but they stop. So, I don't know.
I be making up a lot of words, but I can't think of any.
Kumquat's a pretty fun one to say.
Yo, kumquat soda is the best soda
That's
I've ever
wild.
had.
That's wild as fuck.
I didn't know what a kumquat was, and that just came up recently, by the way.
That's just that reaction was wild as
I
fuck.
went to somewhere where they had a celebrity chef kind of cater our meal, and they made something called kumquat soda. Never heard of a kumquat.
Never before that day. That's
day.
wild that you never heard of that.
And because you don't see them in stores around here though, because I've looked because I want.
You
that
ever gone to the
kumquat
Asian
soda.
Mart?
Oh, I have.
They have them there.
Did you just ask me that? I just go to the Asian Mart. You know how many times I've been to the Asian Mart?
Well, obviously not enough because you didn't fuck about kumquat.
Well, they didn't have kumquat.
They have them where
Not
I went.
H Mart.
Yes, they did. Well, I don't know about now. When I went there, they did. They had all types of wild shit there. There's shit there that I thought was alive.
You know how many times I've been to that store?
Like, it's been a while.
That's the preferred shop.
That was like, that became like a fucking weekly thing.
Yo,
for
I like
us.
to stroll around. That's it. I would be looking at their snacks and candies.
That's where I kind of stop. I'm like, okay, I'm out.
But
I just go there
just
for the
feel like
fresh
strolling.
fruit.
I never. Oh yeah, the fruits and vegetables are bomb.
Yeah.
They got a lot of good. And I think if you eat fish, they probably got a better selection.
Yes. I remember I used to go off the fucking chains buying all the mangoes because they're so cheap, and strawberries. I would buy tons of strawberries and mangoes from there, because it was just ridiculously cheap. And I was like, oh my god, like how are people missing out on this?
Oh yeah, if you want produce, go to friggin' H Mart. That shit's better than any of the local grocery stores.
Hashtag big facts.
Make one famous. H Mart. I'll make H Mart famous. There you go.
Mm.
It's funny
There you
because
have
we
it.
had Kmart. It's H Mart.
Yeah, that always throws me off. Like, y'all got some H's here?
When you see a homeless person, what is your first thought?
It varies. It depends on where I'm seeing them.
Yeah, and the looks. Sometimes I'm thinking, oh, they're a heroin addict, or sometimes I'm thinking like.
I'm gonna be.
I always do wonder what their life story is. So, like, I kind of want to know.
So I've sat down and talked with a homeless dude, like, just because it's like, because you do wonder. So it's like, it's just that you sit down and just like, hey man, like talk to me, like let's sit here and chat. And because he did it though, I made sure to give him money.
So there's been different types you come across for sure. There's the type that seem mentally ill. There's the type that seem hooked on some kind of bad heroin type, crack type drug. There's the ones that actually don't seem to be. They're probably hooked on something, maybe hooked on something, but don't seem to be. But like, there used to be one in Fells Point that would rap for money, and he would ask you for like your name, some words, and he'd just make a freestyle about it, and you felt obligated to give him money. 'Cause, it's like, damn, he did a lot of effort. But yeah, I'm trying to think what I would truly think. I mean, I feel like a lot of them. There are some that I feel like choose to be.
And the thing is, even with that though, I don't begrudge them for choosing that though too, because when you think about life, like
I mean,
all the shit
to
that we
be
have,
honest,
all the
I'm like,
responsibility.
That's a stress-free life.
If I didn't have a family, I'd fucking join a tent community, because it's like.
So that's big
Like,
in
why not?
like I visited the Philippines once. There's like they're called squatters.
Yeah.
But they build these houses on top of houses, and they like basically plug into the electric system. But they kind of got a house. It's not a nice house.
Yeah.
But they don't have to pay shit for the rent, and
Dude.
it's kind of like there's something charming about living simple too.
Yes. Well, you know, if motherfuckers was doing that here, motherfuckers would be outraged, because they get that. You can't tap into my electricity. You're not gonna get the freeload off of me. Like, fuck you, bitch.
Yeah, there's something today about, like, I mean, all these office jobs, or maybe it's not as much manual labor as back in the day, but the stress is ridiculous. And
It is.
it's causing health problems that we didn't see in the past.
Well,
Like,
also,
I find it fascinating. Like, they're saying there's all types of, like, hormone problems to this day, and, like, they blame it on the stress, the way we get our food, canned food in bottles, plastic bottles.
no,
like,
plastic
changing
is
from,
fucking us over, yo.
like, changing people's like hormones and shit, which maybe is leading to also the reason why we have so many people like with the wanting to be different genders and stuff. I mean,
Possibly. I
maybe
mean, that's the thing.
part of
We
it.
don't know. Like, that's what I've been saying with all of this. We're so vocal about it as a society. We don't have enough research. Like, right now, we're just tapping into it, and that's still not good enough. Like, in 20 years, we might have a better ideal, and I think even in 20 years, we're just scratching the surface. So, to everybody with an opinion on it, fuck you. I'm just saying fuck you a lot this episode. My bad, yo. Not you. I'm talking
Not
about you.
bad. You didn't say certain things you normally say.
No, because
Here it comes.
because of my job, yo. Like,
Okay.
I got to be a little bit more. I did the training today, yo, and like
I said you were excellent customer service,
you know.
but then they're
Because I
like,
am.
"Oh, we're looking forward to it." I was like, "Wait, already hired him? So this is a waste of time."
Like, so you just call me for no reason? It's like, meanwhile, this motherfucker's in training right now, dropping all types of R
Why I
words.
hired him. Thank you for confirming
Saying
our
fucked up,
great decision.
saying fucked up things about the clientele. I was like, damn, dude, but you hired me. So, any more questions?
I was 13.
It's 13, all right, because we way over the time.
Let's
I'm
go.
way late. So, as
We
always,
help the homeless.
uh,
We appreciate everyone. DJ Lethal's coming on. Wait, who's yours? Keanu Reeves.
yeah, I'm gonna reach out to him this week.
DJ Lethal, Keanu Reeves, first two guests.
This not this weekend, maybe next weekend. I don't know. Next Sat. Let's line up one of these Saturdays for some day drinking. I'm gonna share that one meme you sent me, but I want to save it for when we go day drinking. But the thing is, like this weekend, I could technically do it, but not really. I don't want to risk it because I got to record at night. And,
Oh yeah, next week's birthday, right?
Oh yeah, it is.
I set an alarm for myself. Today.
Wow.
It's
Okay,
in 1
so
week. So Monday, right?
ooh,
I believe it's Monday.
Yeah, I don't know how to handle the recording for next week. You want to record? Yeah, I know, bitch. I'm coming upstairs. Relax. You want to possibly Friday?
Yeah, Friday is actually a good day.
All right, let's look into that. Almost finished. Yeah, ho.
Wait, you want to sign us out?
So yeah,
That'd be funny.
we'll talk.
Put her on, like,
Let's try to
it's time for bed.
do Friday, because Saturday I'm recording up in Newmarket. Sunday. So I mean, Sunday could technically work, but I don't even know if I'm gonna be off Monday because it's her birthday. I was supposed to be off, so I don't know. We'll figure it out. It's either gonna be Friday or Sunday. I'm leaning more towards Friday. All right. So, as always, motherfuckers, we love you. Thank you for listening. If y'all got any questions, concerns, criticisms, always feel free to reach out to us. You can find me at bjj.wiki on Instagram, Steve's at Thor.Bentley on Instagram. Collectively, you can find us at the Colompton Beer Club on Instagram. Give us any suggestions for beers, questions, concerns, like add to the 13 questions. If y'all got some questions, send them out, bitch. Otherwise, yeah, that's it. I ain't really got a whole bunch to say. I do appreciate y'all. I said I ain't got a bunch to say. Oh yeah, I bought this G.I. Joe Baroness figure at Walmart for $1. Only because it's $1. I don't even want this shit. But I bought it because it said it's $1. And I said that at the register too. I told her I don't want this, but I'm buying it because it's $1. She rung it up and said $9. I said, And then she typed in some code and called over a manager and it went to $1. So I'm fucking happy about that. That's it. Thank you, bitches. Steve?
Good soup.
Bye.
Damn, that shit was dope.